What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday, last Monday of November. Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Appreciate you tuning in, wherever, however you may be tuning in. Whether it's on the radio dials, got a couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online, sportstalk1051.com, where you can get the link for the YouTube stream, you got the Facebook stream, got the Twitter stream, your Google and Alexa home devices, and of course your Sports Talk app. But hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend, maybe an extended weekend. Hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving. For some of you out there too, if you were hitting the woods for a little deer hunting, hopefully you had some luck. Maybe you're doing the muzzle loading this week there, but nonetheless, hopefully you had some luck out there in the woods. And don't forget to send us those photos so we can put them up on the Tilting a trophy board, all right? But we got a full up work week here, and holy moly, do we have lots to catch up on from, well, probably could say the last 24 hours or less than 24 hours or so. So, what's on the game plan here this morning? Well, Badgers have a new head football coach, and I think it's safe to say it's nobody that we thought it was going to be, at least the odds-on favorite. Luke Fickell, the Cincinnati Bearcats' former head ball coach. Wasn't even a name I didn't see too often out there, like wish list or anything like that. Kind of a surprise. I think it was a surprise for a lot of us, a lot of Badger fans out there. But what are your thoughts on the hire? All right. What are your thoughts on this? On this maybe kind of out of nowhere. We just judging from some of the excuse me. Still dealing with whatever I was dealing with last weekend, so bear with me here a little bit. If I sound out of breath or a little bit stuffed up, choked up, hopefully find out what's going on with me later today. But so bear with me. But I want to know your thoughts on this Badger hiring by athletic director Chris McIntosh. Judging by some of the comments, the majority of the comments that we put up on Facebook yesterday, more positive. I think there's a nice surprise element to it. It's like, wow, they actually got a guy out there who's, you look at his track record the last couple of years. He was a hot coaching name last year. Took Cincinnati to the college football playoff. Lost to Alabama, first of the group of 5 to make the college football playoff of all time. Not the Big Five, but the next group there. I mean, his stock was rising. A lot of people thought, could he, eventually replace Ryan Day if Ryan Day ever moved on from Ohio State? Could Luke Fickell go back to Ohio State, where he served as an interim head coach in 2011, if you remember? Stayed on as defensive coordinator, ended up going to Cincinnati in 2017. So, your thoughts? And of course, this means I don't know what the plan is for Jimmy Leonhard, whether he's going to stay on as defensive coordinator, whether he's going to look to move on. I know many Packers fans would love the Packers to make another run at him for defensive coordinator. That seemed to be the one of the big talking points yesterday, and probably will fuel a little bit more fire after that game from last night, just a little bit. But my first impressions, I'll say it because we're going to talk a little bit about this coming up on the opening drive here. This thoughts on Luke Fickell being named and getting the job as head football coach for the Badgers, because it sure seemed like all signs were pointing towards Jimmy Leonhard. Not only from the get go, from the beginning, timing of everything and that, but I mean, I don't know if the Axe game had much to do about it, unless that performance or the loss, kind of like in the hours after that, really amped up talks with Luke Fickell. I'm not quite sure. Maybe we'll find out more today. Probably not. But we should hear from Chris McIntosh and Luke Fickell later on today, it sounds like. Luke Fickell's already in town. They flew him in yesterday, late last night. But I feel like this is, and trying to think back, and maybe the rest of you can help me out with this thing. But of all the the main sports teams here in the state of Wisconsin, is this like the first, maybe since, I don't know, Mike Holmgren? And some of you will have to help me out because, well, when Holmgren was there, I was a little too young to remember it. And of course, social media wasn't around in '92 and such. But I feel like this is like maybe the first like whole, like name hire. And it's not to take anything away from Luke Fickell, but it's like, whoa, they actually got that guy. It's like when the Bucks, signed Mike Budenholzer. Okay, yeah, former Atlanta Hawks coach, has good record and such. It wasn't a big one. Yeah, Jason Kidd there. That was a name. When the Packers hired Mike McCarthy, it was like a huh? Who? Same with, maybe Matt LaFleur. It's like, huh? Okay, well, younger guy. No Sean McVay. So, yeah, checks that box. Greg Counsell is probably a good, maybe the most recent one was like, oh, Greg Counsell, yeah. But I feel like this is like a big name hire for first time in a long time. A long time. So, color me shocked, color me surprised, but we'll deep dive into it a little bit more coming up on the opening drive here. Speaking of the Grid of Gold, yeah, lost last night to the Philadelphia Eagles, but hey, at least they were in it, and it was a high-scoring affair, 40-33. Aaron Rodgers, 11 of 16 for 140 yards, 2 tuds, 2 interceptions. A.J. Dillon running the ball hard, 8 carries for 64 yards. Aaron Jones, 12 carries for 43 yards. Probably looking at those numbers, it's like, how the heck did Green Bay put up 33 points in the game? Christian Watson fizz 110 for another touchdown. But a couple things that I think we kind of need to, well, maybe more than a couple things, but a couple things that really stood out, or maybe our main talking points, is one, Jordan Love got in the game because, well, Aaron Rodgers left due to an oblique/rib injury. Apparently, we'll find out more today, I'm assuming from Matt LaFleur's presser today. But it sounds like Aaron's going to go undergo MRIs because X-rays were inconclusive. That's where you can try to, I'm assuming they're looking for like hairline fractures or anything like that with his ribs. But we got to see Jordan Love for a little bit last night. And, excuse me. But I know it was like just a couple of series. But what were your thoughts? Jordan Love, 6 of 9, 113, touchdown. Quarterback rating, 146.8. Again, it's just a couple series. And a lot of those yards, a lot of those plays coming on the pitch and catch to Christian Watson. But, kind of put your scouting cap on. How did you think the ball came out of his hands? The accuracy, the throws, that sort of thing. I want to hit that up because I might, just very might well have a change of an opinion on something. I might have a difference. I might change my opinion on something when it comes to these two quarterbacks. Yeah, might do it. So we'll hit that up. Coming up here in a little bit. But holy moly, that run defense last night. Good gravy. What the heck was 363 yards they gave up on the ground. 363. Jalen Hurts, 157 on the ground himself. Miles Sanders, 143 on the ground for himself. I mean, it was like watching that playoff game from the 49ers a few years ago when Colin Kaepernick was running around. Nobody could stop him. I was getting visions of Dom Capers, and I was getting flashbacks of like Mike McCarthy saying he's sending his defensive staff and Dom Capers to, was it Texas A&M or something like that, to try to study how to slow down running quarterbacks and all that sort of thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're back there. What are we doing here? Whew. Yeah. What do you? It's like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and again, don't have any confidence. And this time it was like running the football. I was like, oh boy. But that clock's got to be ticking on Joe Barry's tenure as defensive coordinator, doesn't it? I mean, come on. What the heck? What are you doing? I know they've been banged up with some injuries. Players maybe haven't been playing up to the level of expectations, but whew, that was, I mean, 300 and what did we say? 363 yards? And they kept flashing that graphic last night. I think it ended up finishing second most rushing yards in Eagles franchise history in a game. The most, you have to go back to 1948 for crying out loud. 1948 in a game against Washington on November 21st, where the Eagles ran for 376 yards. You had, what was it, Steve Van Buren on that Eagles ball club? Yeah, Steve Van Buren. Quarterback Tommy Thompson, not the former governor. But you had Steve Van Buren, 29 carries for $171. You had three other guys with at least 50 more or 50 yards or more. I mean, just ridiculous. But hey, maybe one bright spot was, outside of Jordan Love, Nixon looks like actually finally is like got a kick returner who's maybe got some confidence and can run the ball out and get it up to the 40 or the 50-yard line. So shout out to Keyshawn Nixon. But then also it's like, hey, it's about time. What took so long? The hindsight 2020 is like, whoa, stuck with Amari for how long? And then there you go. You have Nixon give him more opportunities, gaining some more confidence. Dude looked pretty good last night. But here we are, talking about some positives. It's because a kick returner could take it out to the 40 or the 45. Yikes. So, yeah, we'll talk some more green and gold, but I want to get your impressions. And I know there was kind of some talk like, oh, it's almost the anniversary of when Rodgers came in with that Cowboys game. Remember that? Favre got hurt. Rodgers came in. Packers still lost, but we kind of saw some glimpses of what maybe Rodgers could do. I mean, I don't think I was the only one out there, but I'm like, okay, I want more reps for Jordan Love. I want to see more. I want to see more than just 2 drives. It's like, defense, can you hurry up and get off the field, or the Eagles? Can you, maybe, I don't know, score quicker so we can get some more dang reps for Jordan Love? Because I want to see some more. I want to see some more. We'll hit that up coming up a little bit later on, too. We've got studs and duds. We'll hit that up about 8:05 here this morning. Who or what made your list for studs and duds? We got a motivational Monday. We got a fired up Monday coming at you, too. You can start hitting us up on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line with some text, 715-830-1912, or on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. So I believe we'll be catching up with JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, a little bit later on this morning, too. We'll catch up on some of the winter sports season going on in the Valley, too. But let's get things rolling here. We got lots to break down here on this Monday morning. Badger football has a new head coach. It's not Jim Leonard. Luke Fickell, last year's coach of the year, took Cincinnati to the college football playoff. Throughout the years, turned down or at least had interest or programs from Florida State, Michigan State, etc. had interest in him. Stayed with Cincinnati. There was some talk last year about Notre Dame. But Luke Fickell coming to the Badgers, coming to Madison. Going to rebuild this program. Your thoughts on this hire? Your thoughts on this move by Chris McIntosh? First year as athletic director. I've got a few things to say about Chris McIntosh here, too. So let's take that quick break. And our opening drive. Again, Badgers leading the way. Surprising. Big time hire yesterday. Let's break it down. Coming up after these words. Mark it on your calendars, December 23rd, Festivus. I'm going to do a little extra special version of Festivus. We're going to be doing the morning show from the Dodge that morning, 6A to 9A. And then we're going to do a little podcast, a live podcast from 2 to 3 that day. But stop on by. You can be a part of the program, be part of the show. It's kind of like our Festivus listener holiday party, if you know what I mean. So stop by. I've got some tickets too, by the way, for some free tap beer. All right, got some of those babies there too. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. More details to come, but put it on your calendars right now. December 23rd, Friday, Festivus. It's our Festivus party. Also, kind of a listener holiday party just for me to say thank you to all of you out there too. But put on the calendar. Put on the calendars. More deets to come. All right, let's get things rolling here this morning on that opening drive, baby. We are going to start things off. We got lots to get to here. I mean, we could talk Jordan Love and the Packers, that sort of thing. But let's talk about Luke Fickell, former Cincinnati Bearcats head ball coach. Now your new Badger football head ball coach. Badgers falling to Minnesota in the Axe game on Saturday. Yet it still seemed like a lot. I mean, as soon as the Paul Chryst was let go and throughout the weeks, it felt like that it was going to be Jimmy Leonard's job. It was Jimmy Leonard's job to lose. I mean, even just a couple days ago, it sure sounded like it was going to be Jimmy Leonard's job. He had players talking about, voicing his support. And then lo and behold, it was Luke Fickell, last year's coach of the year, taking Cincinnati to the college football playoff. Star was high. He was, thought maybe that he would go to a big time program, maybe even eventually become the new Ohio State head ball coach if Ryan Day were to ever leave. But no, Luke Fickell is coming back to the Big Ten, but he's going to be donning a little bit of a different red instead of that Ohio State red. Going to the Badgers. Barry Alvarez, because everybody wants to know what Barry Alvarez, his thoughts on it, right? According to Jim Polzine, Wisconsin State Journal, he was able to catch up with Barry Alvarez, and Alvarez loves the hire. Alvarez saying, I think it's a home run hire. You know what? I love Jimmy. I think Jimmy would have done a good job. I hate to go there. Jimmy's done a great job, and he's a great coach. I don't want to say anything. All I know, I love Jimmy. Jimmy's done a great job for us, a tremendous job, and I have all the respect in the world for him. I don't want to go any further. I'm just going to say good things about our new guy. There's a new era, and I'm excited for it. Our fans should be excited for it. So there, that's the Godfather, Barry Alvarez's quick thoughts on there. But what are your thoughts, Badger fans? I got a Twitter poll up in case you'd rather, vote on there. But throughout this whole process, majority of Badgers fans wanted Jimmy Leonard. There was a few out there saying, oh, okay, maybe look at a guy like Dave Aranda or Lance Leipold or something like that. But we really didn't hear the name Luke Fickell too often, and maybe it was because a lot of us assumed, there's no chance to get a guy like Luke Fickell. I mean, there's just that's not going to happen. But it did. And I think that's what caught me off guard. It's like, Luke Fickell was a name that, there's a lot of, when we say big time programs, we threw out some of the names that he was rumored to be attached with the last few years. Florida State, Notre Dame. Michigan State was interested a couple years ago before Mel Tucker. But he's going to Wisconsin. And from all accounts, from the people in the know, they say this is a perfect fit. In terms of culture, in terms of Luke Fickell's, his mindset, his philosophy, it's a perfect fit. Now, to no big surprise, there are current Badger players who've gone on social media and voiced their displeasure, or maybe disappointment is the better word to describe this. I mean, that's the thing too with college athletics and these kids. You know, they've developed really close relationships with their coaches, whether it was during their high school years, throughout the recruiting process, spending a lot of time with them in college. They develop these close relationships. So, yeah, when it's not their guy, there's going to be a little bit of a hurt. But, and this is kind of my pick for my fired up. So let's get into it. What has me fired up about this is kind of reminiscent to what Surveyor Sam texted a little bit earlier. DK, the sports gods answered my prayer, and Wisconsin got my dream coach. This is huge. This means that the AD is pushing everything in and saying we're tired of being a tier below Michigan and Ohio State, and we deserve to be there. It shows that they're tired of just being a good team. They want to be great. This is big. It's huge. It's the biggest name that has come to the state ever. The future is bright for Wisconsin. And when I first saw this news pop up and being reported, my first thought went to Chris McIntosh and the Badgers athletic director, and I kept picturing Major League 2 and Pedro with the marbles. You know what I mean? When he hit that dinger and he looks back to the dugout with Tanaka and he does like the marbles. Chris McIntosh has some marbles. First year on the job. Could have stayed a little status quo. Kept Paul Chris for the year. Didn't do that. All right. So he gives the interim job to fan favorite Jimmy Leonard. Again, could have just gave him the job. From a PR move, majority of Badger fans, if not all of them, would have been happy. No, he didn't even do that. He went with an outsider. He went with an Ohio State guy to come in and give him the job. Chris McIntosh could have done some status quo stuff and, just pacified some fans and made some fans happy here and there. He's putting his mark on this athletic department. This is a big-time hire from a first-year AD, Chris McIntosh, first couple-year AD, given, the timing of everything. That's a big-time hire. That's a marble move. Chris McIntosh has some marbles. I mean, he's taking a risk, too. I mean, if Luke Fickell doesn't pan out, we don't know what Jimmy Leonard's future is going to be. We don't know if he's going to stay with the program. We don't know if Jimmy Leonard's going to move on and maybe look for opportunities elsewhere. Maybe make the jump to the NFL. Who knows? We don't know. But I agree with Surveyor where I feel like Chris McIntosh is like, okay, how do we take our sports to the next level? How do we take our teams to the next level? How do we start competing not only for conference championships, but national championships? Big Ten's getting bigger. It ain't getting easier either. It's getting harder. USC's coming. USC's pretty good. UCLA had a pretty good season. Big Ten's going to get tougher competition. And it's not to say that Jimmy Leonard would have stayed status quo and would have been, kind of just, continuing with the trend. He was going to put his own mark on this ball club. But obviously, Chris McIntosh looked at this thing and like, you know what? We got to shake it up a little bit. Let's put some chips in the middle of the table. Let's be a little aggressive in this thing. And I think this also sends a message throughout the entire Wisconsin athletic department. It's go time. The goals and the expectations for the Wisconsin Badger sports has risen. It's not just conference championships anymore. We want more. We want a little bit more. We want to be involved in the conversation as college football playoff, eligible. It's going to get expanded to 12. But also in basketball, in hockey. Hockey is probably the next one to watch now with men's hockey. Chris McIntosh got this one out of the way. I guarantee you in the next couple of days, or maybe it's already done it now, that focus is going to be on that men's hockey team. But a move like this, to me, sent a message throughout the whole athletic department. We need to raise our games. We are going to compete for championships on a consistent basis. We are going to be a premier program, a premier university. And he's not Chris McIntosh. Chris McIntosh is a Badger guy too. Or he played there. It's not like he's an outsider, bringing in a bunch of outside guys. No. He wants to raise the level of competition. And I love it. I love it that he's got some marbles. I love it he's willing to go out there and be a little bit of a risk taker. I love it that he's willing to go out there and put his own mark on this program. The last couple of weeks, there's been some frustration from Badger fans, from Jim Leonard, maybe even the players. Like, we would like a resolution on this. Losing recruits. Or there's some uncertainty out there. Well, knowing what the Badgers or who the Badgers hired now, does that make up for it a little bit? Now, you might lose out on some of your guys. Braylon Allen. He was out there and said, as long as Jimmy Leonard's coach, I'll be here. Oh. Badgers already lost an offensive lineman commit who decommitted and switched his commitment to Notre Dame. We knew that was going to happen. But you look at a guy like Luke Fickell. Well, he obviously knows how to recruit and he knows how to win. He knows how to build. He was put in that situation at Ohio State in 2011, interim head coach. Went 6-7. Lost the Gator Bowl that year. Urban Meyer comes into town. Luke Fickell stays on as co-defensive coordinator. Then in 2017, takes over Cincinnati. His first year, 4-8. Second year, 11-2. Third year, 11-3. 2020, 9-1. 2021, 13-1. Where at one point, Cincinnati Bearcats are ranked number 2 in the country college football playoff. And 2022, 9-3. Overall, 63 wins, 25 losses, 716 winning percentage. I like it. So far, the majority of you on Twitter, just checking out the latest polls. Let me see if I can bring it up here. And take a quick break. Come on. All right. The poll, 73.3% of you love it. 26.7% of you wanted Leonard. So for those of you who give me your reasons why you wanted Jimmy Leonard, or give me your reasons why you love the move of Fickell. Give me some of your and maybe it's just because you like the story of Jimmy Leonard. Grew up not far from here, up north. Wisconsin guy. Walk on. It's a great story. It's a Badger story. Maybe, and there's no right or wrong reason to that. Maybe it's just like, I like the story. I'd like to see him get the job. Give me your reasons. All right. We got to take a quick break, and then coming up, Packers. Hey, they still got a 2% chance, according to ESPN Stats and Info, of making the playoffs. This is how bad the bottom of the NFC is. They're like in the 9th spot in the NFC, okay? Which means they're 2 spots out of a playoff. playoff spot, but they're also one game out of the number 2 overall pick. You know who holds that number 2 overall pick? Chicago Bears. That's who the Packers play coming up here. Until, excuse me, they're the 11th spot. Did I say 9th? If they would have won, they would have been the 9th. They're in the 11th. But, yeah, that ain't good. But we saw Jordan Love for a little bit. Aaron Rodgers left due to an oblique injury. There's reports that he has an avulsion fracture on his thumb. Are we going to see the IR stint? Aaron Rodgers, after the game, said that as long as he feels like he can go out there, he wants to continue to play. Matt LaFleur said that moving forward, Aaron, as long as he can play, he will be the starter. But again, I think I'm changing my opinion right now. And what did you see from Jordan Love last night? Or was it just too small of a sample size? Too small of a sample size. So we'll get to that too. All right, we'll take a quick break. And then coming up in a little bit, we'll get more of your thoughts on Luke Fickell, Packers coming up after these quick words. Yeah, don't forget if you were a hunter and had some luck this 9-day deer gun season, send us those photos for the Tilden Gun Trophy Board. Just hit us up at sportstalk1051.com. Click on the outdoors tab, and you'll be able to see the form where you can just upload your photo from there. It's a lot easier to do it that way than sending it to me. So go ahead and do that. And don't forget if you're partaking in the muzzleloader, getting ready for a little ice fishing too. Send those photos up. All right, send those babies on over to the Tilden Gun Trophy Board. And while you're at our website too, don't forget, because it sounds like we're gonna get some snow here in the next 48 hours or so. So if this is our major dumping or our first major dumping of the year, always stay in tune to our website at sportstalk1051.com for the latest school closings and delays presented by Hovland's and our fantastic friends at Service Master of Chippewa Valley. What up, Clay? Hopefully you're doing well. So don't forget to be checking that out for any school closings or delays. All right, we got about 13 minutes to the top of the hour. I want to chat a little grit of gold, but before we get to that, let's take a quick phone call this morning. Good morning. Who do we got? I'm doing okay. I'm still a little under the weather. Not sure what's going on, but we're here. So how you doing? How was your Thanksgiving? All right. Well, it was okay. Didn't do a whole lot. Still fighting whatever I'm fighting, but it was good to get a little time off and spend it with the family. So, but I got to ask you. I'm glad you called because it wasn't that long ago, see about you were pretty animate about Chris McIntosh and with the performance he was doing and not giving Jimmy Leonard the head coaching job. What are your thoughts now on Luke Fickell becoming the head ball coach? Yeah, and I give credit to McIntosh for putting his own stamp on this athletic department so far too. You know, like he went out, he could have stayed status quo a little bit. He could have finished out the season with Paul Christ, or he could have just handed the job off to Jimmy Leonard. And a lot of Badger fans and a lot of former Badgers would have been happy, would have been excited. But he's putting his own mark on this, and I think that's also sending a message throughout the rest of the athletic department, the men's hockey team. If there's another program that kind of slips up, Chris McIntosh ain't afraid to make some bold moves. He's got some marbles. That's what impresses me the most about it too. Is like he could have stayed status quo the first couple of years as AD. No, he's going in there and he's making his own mark on this athletic department right away. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of was Pedro from Major League. He's got some marbles if you think about the last. Well, I mean, he again firing Paul Chris that took marbles. Not hiring Jim Leonard that took even more marbles at this point. And then going out and getting a guy like Luke Fickle. This dude it does have some gonads, I think. Let me ask you one question, though, too. And this is for everybody else out there, but one of the biggest things that you mentioned Brett Bielema, and one of the things was like, oh, I can't pay my assistants, and this, that, and the other thing, and that was one of the things with Fickle in Cincinnati that I was reading about yesterday was like he wanted more money for his assistants and that sort of thing. Could we potentially be seeing maybe a little bit of a shift? And I know this is like hot take, it's way too early, overreaction Monday, but could we see maybe a little bit of a shift where hey, the Badgers are willing to spend some more on assistants and more into coaches and assistant coaches here a little bit because I got to imagine for Luke Fickle to take this job at Wisconsin, he had to have gotten some assurances that he's going to have some money to build his staff around. I have to imagine that was part of the agreement. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Before I let you go here, we know the Packers fell last night, but your quick impressions of just a couple drives from Jordan Love last night.
Everything off one small little sample size, but yeah, he looked really good. Hopefully Rodgers isn't too banged up, but this is maybe it's time for LaFleur to have some marbles himself and say Rodgers time to sit. Let's see what we got with this Love kid, just because we really do need to know. Mm-hmm. And it would be good to see him against a real defense throwing live bullets, not dropping back, because it's a little harder to read defenses when they're steaming up blitzes and things. So time will tell, but I liked what I saw. I mean, his passes were good. That his best pass of the day was dropped, and that was that one to Aaron Jones along the sideline. Mm-hmm. So, I thought he looked good from what we saw.
Yeah. All right, C-Bomb, appreciate the phone call, buddy. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
You bet. Thanks for having me, El Capitano. Have a great week.
You too. There you go. There's C-Bomb hopping off. Got a couple more texts to get to here. Surveyor, if your Fickle is your first call to Jimmy to convince him to stay as defensive coordinator, if it were me, I would want someone that has a rapport with the existing players. That's obviously something that a lot of people are kind of wondering. Luke Fickle did that, right? I mean, he was interim head coach for Ohio State. Urban Meyer comes in. Luke Fickle stays on as a co-defensive coordinator. I mean, that's a possibility. So I'm, maybe giving Jimmy Leonard a little bit of space here, but I wouldn't be surprised. But again, Luke Fickle is also a defensive-minded head coach. Will he want to bring his own system in? How much different would it be from Jimmy Leonard? I'm sure that's going to be asked today in their presser a little bit later on. Also, a couple more text here. I love this hire as a fan. I was tired of mediocrity. This move should take us to the level we all want to be at. Quick update on the poll here, our Twitter poll. So still 73% of you love the move. 26% of you, 26.7% of you saying you would have rather have had Jimmy Leonard. So if you want to vote, all right, move back up. 75% now say love it. So you can vote on Twitter at DANKASPER. All right. We only got a couple minutes at the top, but not too often do we open up a Monday during football season, and Green Bay's not, maybe the number one segment here. But last night, Packers fall to the Eagles 40-33. Couple things here. That run defense, again, was god-awful last night. 363 yards given up on the ground. Jalen Hurts had himself a night with using his legs. $157. Miles Sanders following it up with 143. Also, we saw Jordan Love for a little bit. 6 of 9 for $113. And a lot of that yardage came on Christian Watson's that long touchdown run he had. But that's kind of something that I think a lot of us kind of wanted to see a little bit too. Christian Watson's been on a fantastic run these last couple of weeks. But getting the ball in his hands so he can utilize his speed, show off his speed. That's exactly what that play showed last night. Getting him the ball in space, and letting him utilize his speed. Jordan Love was only out there for a couple reps or for a couple series. But the things that stood out to me, the zip on the ball, he looked confident. He looked poised. Didn't look like the moment was too big. I love the fact too that, and they really couldn't, but they didn't really handcuff him. They let him go out there and sling it. And just the football looked great coming out of his hands. He was making some good throws. The one was it to AJ Dillon, I think, out on the flat. Then you had Alan Lazard on the sideline there. That was a great throw to Aaron Jones that Jones dropped on the sidelines. Jordan Love and just those couple of series, he looks pretty good. And I'll tell you what, I know Aaron said that if he's good to go, he's going to play Matt LaFleur, kind of echoing that same sentiment. But I would not be opposed at this point in time to put Aaron on the IR and see what we got with Love here. I want to see a little bit more. That was a little bit of a tease last night, and that was a good tease. And I want to see a little bit more of that. I'm switching gears here a little bit. Been a big A-Raj guy. And it might be a little bit of an overreaction, but I want to see a little bit more from number 10. I want to see what we got with it. And I thought Collinsworth last night made an interesting point. He posed the question, and I'm going to pose this question out to you. Do teams that don't have a mobile quarterback, are they now, in this current NFL, at a disadvantage? Because you look at what Jalen Hurts was throwing. Because remember, wasn't that long ago? It was a couple years ago, a few years ago. Nobody's like, Lamar Jackson, no, that career won't last. Running quarterbacks, Justin Fields, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's running the ball over, but you can't throw the foot, But I thought it was interesting because you could go a bunch of different ways about this. And I want to hit this up maybe in a little bit more detail a little bit later on. But Aaron Rodgers, when that dude was special, right, he was using his legs. There was a threat there to scramble. And you look at some of the Josh Allen, those guys. There's a threat to scramble a little bit. So I want to hit that up a little bit more detail. All right, 1 hour in. We got more coming up.
do to keep the guy, on the softball team, keep his spirits up, that kind of thing. They had a plan, they had a strategy.
Says his roommates pitched in to help care for the pup.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Today will be the calm before the winter storm heads our way tomorrow, as we'll have a good bit of cloud cover today, but despite that, climbing to the low 40s. Still mild through the overnight as we dip to the low 30s, but we'll start to see those chances for some snow showers move in tomorrow morning. Towards our southern counties, may even have a little bit of rain mixed in. Accumulations look to be about 1 to 3 inches to the south and even higher amounts to our northern and western counties as highs climb to the low to mid 30s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike Dandria.
Good morning. It's time to take a look at some farm news on Sports Talk 105.1. If you're looking for Marika Gouda's award-winning cheeses, you're in luck because they will soon be opening another location right here in Eau Claire, but with a little twist. House of Gouda will likely open in mid-February in the former Pier 1 Imports building by the Oakwood Mall. The retail store will be filled with what you'd expect: wine, meats, crackers, and of course, cheese. However, this store is going to be laid out a little bit different. The store is meant to be used as a place to build charcuterie boards. And for those of you who don't know, charcuterie boards are a kind of appetizer typically served on a wooden board. They've been around for centuries, but have recently gained popularity. House of Gouda will feature a cheese island in the middle of the store where you will actually get to see the wheels of cheese cut right in front of you. When the store opens, it will be open 10 to 7, 7 days a week. And if you haven't done it already, it's time to get ready for the Christmas holiday season. And a long-standing tradition is picking out the perfect tree. Lucky for you, those Christmas tree growers are confident and prepared for this year's holiday season. Wisconsin has more than 850 Christmas tree farms, and according to the most recent agricultural census, Wisconsin ranks 5th in the nation in the number of trees cut and more than 23,000 acres in production. More than 700,000 evergreens are harvested every fall. And speaking of that beautiful Christmas tree, if you're going to walk through the state capitol this holiday season, you're going to be greeted with a 30-foot balsam fir that will soon be decorated with handmade ornaments celebrating Wisconsin's waterways. The tree is a 30-foot balsam fir from Myers Castle Tree Farm up in Medford. Governor Tony Evers announced Wisconsin waters as the theme for the 2022 state capitol holiday tree and has invited students to contribute handmade ornaments to put on that tree. That's a look at some of your farm news on Sports Talk 105.1. I'm Kristen Smith.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help you troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's the show that features serious, thought-provoking sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it.
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it.
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth.
Here is your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time. Prime time.
All right, second hour kicking off on this Monday morning. Appreciate you tuning in wherever you may be tuning in, however you may be tuning in. We'll catch up with Justice Cleveland here in just a second. But before we do that, let's kick off this second hour with some sports nuggets of the day. 1929, Ernie Nevers of the Chicago Cardinals set an NFL record when he scored 40 points in a game. He scored 6 touchdowns and kicked 4 extra points. 1948, Dippy Evans of the Chicago Bears became the first NFL player to score 2 touchdowns on recovered fumbles in a game. 1969, the New York Knicks set an NBA record when they won their 18th consecutive game. Justice will like this one. 1977, Larry Bird was introduced as, quote, college basketball's secret weapon with a cover story in Sports Illustrated. 1979, Billy Smith with the New York Islanders became the first goalie in NHL history to get credit for a goal. Smith was the last Islander to touch the puck before the Rockies put it into his own net. All right. We got Michael Jordan, 2002, announced he would retire for the third and final time at the end of the NBA season. That's when he was with the Wizards, of course. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Those are just some of your sports nuggets for this morning. Good morning, Justice. How are you doing on this fine Monday morning?
Good morning. I heard the trumpets calling me here, so
Did you hear the Larry Bird?
I heard Larry Bird too,
Yeah.
and Ernie Nevers. Who's the guy after Ernie Nevers?
It was Dippy Evans.
Dippy Evans.
Yeah.
Oh, Dippy Evans.
I
What a
love
great
old
name.
school names like
I
that.
do too. Dippy Cleveland here. That's where I came from. So.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Very good, very good. Got on to the other side of the state. Spent it at my in-laws. It was a good 4 days of R&R there, and R&R. I call it R&R, but I noticed something when you have kids. When you were when I was single and didn't have, you'd take 4 days off. You come back to work and be like, oh man, it feels like I haven't been here forever.
No,
it doesn't work that way anymore.
No.
When you have kids, it's like, oh, I'm just off to my other job for 4 days. But it was great. It was really fun, and ate way too much. And yeah, it was what you would love for a holiday weekend.
Definitely. So, well, good to have you back, man. Good to have you
Yes,
back.
it's been a long time. I think 3 weeks since I've been here, so I'm glad to get a chance to sit down. Not that I'm next to you, but in spirit. So one of these days, I'm going to be next to you again.
You should.
Making that a priority here in this holiday season.
Well, I'm just saying, December 23rd, it's a Friday, but we're having our Festivus party. We're doing a live show at the Dodge. Brandon's going to be there too, so might have to do a threesome. Keep it clean.
Oh boy.
Feats of strength can be between you and Brandon.
Oh, there we go. That guy's too strong. Brandon, he's sneaky strong.
He is sneaky. Well, you kind of miss out because on Fridays I got a new thing called. I'll just play it.
But the cream will rise to the top. On balance, off balance, doesn't matter. I'm better than you are. Yeah, the cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Cream of the crop, man.
Rises to the top.
Rise to the top.
Macho man.
Hey, so let's because we got lots to catch up on. There's some stuff going on with the Badgers and Packers here a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a skosh. But we are in the winter season now, Justice. So let me ask you, what's, as you're preparing for this winter, whether it's the prep season or the Blue Golds, is there any teams or any storylines that you're kind of keeping your eyes out for or kind of watching for or kind of excited about this upcoming winter sports season?
Well, the first one for me, I think, is the easiest one, is that women's basketball team.
For the
Just
Blue Golds?
the amount of the Blue Golds women's basketball team, excuse me there. The amount of talent that have returning for a team that made it to the NCAA tournament is just amazing. And, they're off to a 6-1 start on the season. And you could tell something was there when they beat Concordia St. Paul, which is a D2 team in their exhibition. That's that showed you something. And now they're continuing. Their only losses to Hope College, which I believe was the number one team in the country that they played. So yeah, things are looking really good for that team. And it'll be fun to see what they can do the rest of this winter into the spring.
Then was it men's hockey for the Blue Golds got a big weekend over St. Norbert over by your former neck of the woods.
Yeah, it was kind of a slow start for the Blue Golds. They were 2-2 out of the gate, but then since then they've won 4 straight and getting 2 wins. The biggest thing is they got 3 wins in a row. One over River Falls last weekend, which is always big, and they got an overtime win over Northland that game before that, and then they go get 2 on the road against St. Norbert, who an old conference foe back in the NCHA days. So that's a big win for them. And then, they got 2 coming up this weekend against Superior and then against UW Stout. And Stout's off to a great start this season as well. So, and then, you follow that up, you got Stevens Point. So, yeah, it's going to be a big next 2 weeks for this hockey team before they go on their winter break. So that'll be if they can keep it going and keep a winning streak going to the break, that would be amazing. And yeah, a big stretch for them, but good for Matt Lone's team. Always fun to come out and watch them. I really look forward to this time of the year. I enjoy going over to Hobbs, and Hobbs is kind of like my second home in the winter, or Carson's like my home in the spring and summer. Hobbs is my winter home, and yeah, getting to see some really high quality hockey, not only from the Blue Gold's men's and women's team, but all the high school teams as well. Yeah, good time of year, very good time of year.
You know, you mentioned the high school and such, but with prep wise, I know women's basketball has kind of gotten underway. Men's is that going to be starting up this week or next week?
This week.
This
week.
week?
I could have played games over the break for some of those holiday tournaments and stuff like that, but this is the week where it really kind of gets into full gear. I think a lot of coaches were kind of letting wait until the holiday break's over before they get into that full schedule. So yeah, I mean, you got everything now, starting with boys and girls basketball. You got boys and girls hockey. You have wrestling, gymnastics. Everything now is going on now in the winter sports, and swimming. I'm going to make sure I'm trying to cover all my bases. It's early in the morning, so me trying to think of everything. But yeah, I mean, it now we're post that Thanksgiving break is when things really start ramping up for the next couple of weeks till the Christmas break, and then you'll have those holiday tournaments as well. So yeah, I will say it was nice having a little reprieve here for a week after what was a fun and crazy fall season. And congratulations to all those teams that made it to state, and Regis getting the state title there as well. Mondovi runners up in football, and then all the volleyball teams. So It was a crazy month and a fun month. And now we're on to the next season, which is crazy because it feels like it just the school year just started, and we're a third of the way through.
I know, no kidding, man. Is there any conference, for basketball, men's and women's basketball, any conferences that you kind of maybe eyeing up as that could be a good, maybe a little battle between a couple teams throughout the year?
I think that, honestly, we're at a point where I think we're about as even as we've been in a long time with almost all the conferences around here. I think the Big Rivers, boys wise, I think Memorial's got a really good chance, but you got some good teams there. You throw in like a Hudson, North can really make some noise if they need to. And then, River Falls, you got to imagine River Falls with the football talent they had. It's going to probably transfer as well over onto the basketball court. And then you got to throw in the teams that you've kind of the newer team, like a new Richmond too. So I think on boys' side, it's going to be that way. And the same goes with the girls, because I think that Memorial team is going to, on both sides, the boys and girls teams are going to be fun to watch. But again, you've got these teams like Hudson. You got a River Falls team that's just got a tradition of being a pretty good team as well. And then you got teams that are on the growth path now, like a Chi High that's kind of trying to get back from the ground. They had a tough year last year. So I look at that, and I think the Clover Belt's the same way. I think the Clover Belt, especially on the girls' side, is going to be just a lot of battles day in and day out. And it's going to really be it's kind of weird because I feel like post-pandemic, you had kind of a year where things were just so cattywampus, if that's a good way to that I think we're finally getting on sturdy ground here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams do, and just again battle every night.
Yeah. Hockey.
It sounds like a politician's answer, but yeah, when you really look at these conferences, and it's pretty even for a lot of these.
Hockey wise, to kind of wrap it up, then you look at the Big Rivers, and that's always got some great matchups. You mentioned Hobbs in that too. Would you expect nothing or pretty much the same thing year in and year out when it comes to Big Rivers hockey this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hudson's still the top of the conference in the Big Rivers, but I mean, I think after that, it's going to be it'll be a good battle to see who can kind of rise to that second spot. Now, again, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams spoils that and finds a way to upend Hudson from that top spot. But yeah, I think we're looking at a lot of these teams are a little bit younger than they've been in the past. Chippewa Falls coming off a pretty good weekend as well. They're 2-0 to start the season. So Memorial split at their tournament, and North's 1-1, and who's going to probably end up at state in Division 2 or 3 is Rice Lake. So
yeah,
a team that always finds a way. So yeah, I mean, it's such a tough conference. It really is, and I don't think it gets its due statewide. It should, for being one of the toughest conferences in the state.
Mm-hmm.
You got Chi-Hi, Hudson, New Richmond's in there. Again, New Richmond's kind of like that wild card. We don't really know a whole lot about them just because where they're located and they're new to the conference. But yeah, that's going to be a team that's tough. And then Memorial and North. I mean, those two programs have such good foundation that they're going to be right there. So, like you said, I think it's going to be a big battle to see. And we got some games coming up this week, and I can't remember if it was Hudson, Chi-Hi, or somebody's over at Hudson. I think it is Chi-Hi Hudson this week. So we'll get an early test to see, where both those teams are at.
Right, no doubt. All right, big thanks, Justice, for giving us a quick update on the local stuff. So we got another poll question up. So we've got 2 poll questions up here for this morning. First one. Badgers fans, your thoughts on your new head ball coach? 75% of you saying love it. 25% of you saying you wanted Jimmy Leonard. Your new poll question, you got 4 options here. It was a small sample size, but your thoughts on what you saw from Jordan Love last night. Option 1, look good, start him. Option 2, good, but still start 12, a.k.a. Aaron Rodgers. 3, it was okay. Or 4, not impressed. So you can vote at Twitter at DANKASPER. Justice, I want to ask you, though, what was your thoughts on when you found out it was going to be Luke Fickell as the new head ball coach for the Badgers yesterday?
Very surprised. I had kind of been off social media all morning. At my in-laws farm, I don't have a choice sometimes because the internet's so slow. You're just like, I'm done. So I hadn't really paid much attention. Then all of a sudden I signed on, and that was like the first thing that I saw was that Luke Fickell, and I was like, whoa, that was a complete surprise to me. I feel bad for Jim Leonard because he kind of was put in a tough position. And, maybe a lot of it, no fault to his own. He was dealing with what had unfortunately been brought during the Paul Chryst era. But I think like a lot of people realizing that they were able to get Luke Fickell kind of changes it. I think if it had been anybody else, there would have been more of an uproar.
Yeah.
But I think because people know the pedigree that Luke Fickell has, it kind of changes it a little bit. And again, I think Jim Leonard will land on his feet. He'll have no problem finding work anywhere else. It just kind of, you hate to see the whole go to your alma mater and it doesn't work out.
Right.
But Luke Fickell is a great grab, and you can just it's a culture change for the Badgers, and for McIntosh to do this is a big for him. This is stating his whole career basically on this move, going outside the Wisconsin family. This and
that's where I kind of use the Pedro from Major League 2 gif with the marbles. He has some marbles with this.
Because the easy move is keeping Jim Leonard.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you just stay with the status quo and keep a Badger guy in the position there. But the big move is going out and saying, okay, we need to change this culture to be competitive. And I think they do. I think at this point, you watch a Badger game and it just does not look like they're caught up with the rest of the college football, the Big Ten at this point. So I think ultimately Chris McIntosh's legacy is going to basically ride on Luke Fickell.
Yeah. If I would have said, or if we would have asked the question last year, hey, Luke Fickell is going to be the Badger football coach in 2023, I think the majority, if not all of us, would have been, what are you on?
Right.
that ain't going to happen. That's like, I think is like, whoa, that's a name hire too. It's not only, with the pedigree and all that, that's a name hire, Justice. And, something I kind of threw out before the top of the hour was I almost wonder too, and it's pure hot take speculation, that sort of thing. But was there almost something that Luke Fickell was told, hey, you're going to have some money to spend on assistants too? Because I was reading the other day or yesterday that was one of the things that Cincinnati was like, I want some more money for my assistants. We know there's more money coming in the Big Ten. We know that, right? With the TV stuff, the new teams coming in. So there might even just be more money in that pot too. But I just feel like this is a hire that Badger fans, I think, in any sport, whether it would have been basketball or football, wouldn't have expected up until it actually happened yesterday. A name out there that was attached to programs like Notre Dame last year or Florida State at one point. You know, these programs we hear are the, quote, premier programs in all of college sports. And he chose the Badgers. And the Badgers actually got somebody like that. I think there's still a little bit of like, wow, it actually happened with a lot of these fans.
I agree. And I think, you hear the fans time and time again clamoring, yelling, like, we need to get a big name here. We need to get a big name here. And a lot of times I feel like it goes with the basketball team.
Yeah.
When the guard haters are often like, oh, there's somebody better out there. It's like this, here you go. They've went out and got the big name guy. Not the biggest name. I guess Lane Kiffin would be your biggest name guy if you were, but no, they got Luke Fickell. And this is a guy whose pedigree is there. This is a guy who was in that tough situation as an interim coach at Ohio State and handled it with pure class. Now, did they have a winning record? No, but he was also just, I think he was like 40 years old or still in his 30s when he ddid that. To be forced into something as big as that. Then he goes to Cincinnati and has turned that program around from a 4-8, at 4-8 his first year to 9-3 this year, 13-1. I mean, the guy has just put up numbers the last 5 years at Cincinnati. So I think this is a big hire. This is, again, he's and one of the biggest things that I've read is that he is a great recruiter.
Yep.
And that's something that from the reports I read is what McIntosh was kind of frustrated with, was the recruitment, people backing out from Wisconsin. And you get it. You get a coaching change. That's going to happen.
Right.
Players don't know, but you get a guy like Luke Fickell who has that pedigree, who's been in the Big Ten, who has been recruiting in the Big Ten.
And not only in the Big Ten, in Ohio against Ohio State too.
Right. Exactly. So he has to be able to convince these guys, and this is big. It's, again, this is McIntosh's legacy with everything here. And obviously years down the road, we won't know until, we see it actually on the field. But we'll see what, happens with the players that are on the team for Wisconsin. But I think there's going to be a lot of the players that obviously were loyal to Jim Leonard, and that it hurts to see him on.
Right.
More like that. I doubt he's staying on as defensive coordinator. It just doesn't seem like it'd be, if you're Luke Fickell, you're probably bringing in your own guys. But yeah, I think this is a big time change for the Badgers and something we have not seen. I don't even think the Gary Anderson hire compares to this.
No,
because Gary Anderson wasn't a huge name when he was brought in outside the system. Right. This is a guy who is well known and has coached at, arguably the biggest college football, especially in this region, Ohio State. Again, even as an interim, but also as an assistant, and then go to Cincinnati and do it again. We will see. This is going to be a fun ride to watch.
That's what I was trying to figure out too when we opened it up. I was like, when was the last time in the state of Wisconsin, Justice, that when you look at the main sports, that there was a big time like name sort of hire? And I'm like, okay, you got Craig Counsell. Everybody knew Craig Counsell, but there was not a lot of, obviously, no coaching beforehand. Then I'm like, was it Mike Holmgren? But then I'm like, well, that was the 90s, and I know he was offensive coordinator for the 49ers. We didn't have social media like that. I was trying to figure out, like, when was the last time in this state for sports there was like a big name type of hire like at this level?
It didn't end well. Jason Kidd.
That's what I threw out too. I'm like, Jason Kidd. People were excited about that, but
you go back to the 90s, like George Karl.
Yeah.
Coming to the Bucs was pretty big considering how his pedigree he had with Seattle.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, this is college wise. I can't think of anything.
No. Even like Bo Ryan was like, okay, but that's a D3 guy, 1 year in D1 going up some. I don't think anybody really expected the Badgers to do what they did under Bo Ryan.
No, and even like when Dick Bennett left Green Bay to go to the Badgers, that was more of a in-state thing because of how good he had Wisconsin Green Bay.
Right.
But that wasn't like a national reverb thing like this is. This is like national reverb where it's like everybody's like, wow, they got Luke Fickell. So hey, there are big names now in the Big Ten with Matt Rule going to Nebraska. Good, that's a huge grab for them.
Yep.
I don't know if I envy Matt Rule trying to turn that program around.
Right.
Because many men have tried and many men have failed. So Bo Pelini probably had the best run there. And he's the guy who's like the meme about, coaching at Nebraska. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun to watch. And the recruiting battles, boy, oh boy.
Oh, now when you factor in USC and UCLA and all that, there's a lot of coaching star power in this conference now. Holy
right,
moly.
and there's no more, you won't have the East and West or anything anymore as well. Everybody's battling everybody, and when you arguably have the best team in college football, I hate saying this, in Michigan right now.
Yeah.
Now in your conference. Yeah, I mean, for the Big Ten, it's all about kind of keeping up with the SEC.
Yep.
And I think we'll see how it all ends up playing out, but I think that's very good for them to have these bigger names coming in. It's all about money. I mean, that's obviously what it's all about in college football nowadays, but it's also about getting performance. And you throw in the other teams, and like how big is it for Purdue and Illinois to have seasons like they had after struggling for so many years too?
All right.
But now it's next year. Look out, Big Ten. It's going
now,
countrywide, nationwide Big Ten.
Well, now the interesting thing is, too, I know we got to take a quick break here, but, it's like Badgers are bowl eligible, Justice. If they get a bowl, I know there was some talk out there. Could they turn it down? Is Jimmy Leonard going to want to coach? Maybe we'll find out more today. I think they're having a press conference, but that's kind of being thrown out there. What do they do with that bowl appearance?
I feel like you kind of.
I feel like Jimmy's the type of guy that would still coach it for the players.
Right. And I think that, who would love to let those seniors have a chance for a win.
Right.
So, I think you'd rather get a chance to end his career at a bowl game than the way it ended on Saturday. So
good point. That too. All right. Hey, we got to take a quick break, but then I want to get back to a little bit more green and gold talk. So the other question that we threw out there, our poll question, it was a small sample size last night, but your thoughts on Jordan Love was, give me your thoughts. You can hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Also, hey, maybe Matt LaFleur can make another run at Jimmy Leonard for defensive coordinator. Holy moly. I mean, the Eagles almost broke a rushing record that they set in 1948, for crying out loud. So we'll talk a little green and gold after we take a quick break. We'll be back after these words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
When it comes to all of your firearm needs, nobody matches the quality, the service, and the quantity that Tilden Gun has to offer. Locally owned and operated, Tilden Gun is your one-stop place when it comes to finding that new rifle, shotgun, handgun, or any ammunition or accessories you're looking for. They also have a used inventory of firearms, and they accept trade-ins. Plus, they offer a full range of gunsmith work. So if you're looking for a new firearm, here's what you do. Visit tildengun.com and check out their online inventory. Find what you're looking for, and then visit Sean and Tyler at Tilden Gun. They will work with you to get that firearm you have been looking for. And not only that, you'll get it at the best price. When it comes to finding that new firearm for the upcoming hunting season, look no further than the locally owned and operated Tilden Gun. Visit them today at 12427 98th Avenue, Chippewa Falls. That's just 3 miles from Tractor Central, just off of Highway Q. Or give them a call at 715-944-9852. Tilden Gun, the best products at the best prices. When it comes to the best flooring store in the business, no one matches Carpet City Flooring Center in every category. They have the best selection of floors, from carpet, tile, vinyl, laminate, you name it, including the ever-popular Rigid Max flooring system that would look spectacular in your own home. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire also works with some of the best installers in the area, so you know when you purchase your floor from Carpet City Flooring Center, it will be professionally put in by some of the best. And you can't top Carpet City Flooring Center's prices, because if for some reason you find another price elsewhere that's better, Carpet City Flooring Center will match or beat that price. They're undefeated in the pricing game. But what really separates Carpet City Flooring Center from the competition is the team you meet when you instantly walk into the doors. They are ready to help you and answer any questions you have to make the process of buying your new floor easy as possible. So when it's time for that new floor in your home, you only need to search out for one place, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue and check them out online at carpetcitywi.com.
Are you up all night tossing and turning over your business's unsuccessful online marketing strategies? Midwest Family Eau Claire's digital team can be the warm glass of milk and cozy blanket that ensure a restful, worryless night's sleep. Let our team at Midwest Family Eau Claire turn your business's digital presence into profit. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how our integrated marketing solutions take the complexity of digital marketing out of your busy hands. MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com.
Get ready to save with half-off deals. A great way for you to get goods and services that you will love and you don't have to pay full price. Be sure to check out all the great savings that half-off deals have to offer. There's something for everyone, so be sure to see for yourself. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com. Online application and inventory at AutoKingEC.com.
The latest sports news, scores, opinion, and commentary. If that's not enough, you should seek professional help. The Dan Kasper Show.
Send me your studs and duds list. We'll get to those coming up in the next hour. But who made your studs and who made your duds from this past weekend or past week or so? Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Tweet at DANKASPER or Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. Quick update on poll question numero 2. It was a small sample size last night, but your thoughts on Jordan Love was 72.7% of you saying, look good, start him now. 27.3% of you saying good, but still start Aaron Rodgers. 0% of you saying he was okay or not impressed. So let's start off with Jordan Love first here before we really go hard at this defensive performance last night. But your thoughts on what you saw in just 2 drives from Jordan Love last night, Justice, was?
I thought he looked really good. I think I loved the decision-making and how quick he was able to process things, which is usually one of the biggest things that you step up from, the start of a rookie to this point where the game slows down. And you could tell that this is a different, it's like when Rodgers, it really is. They alluded to it on the broadcast. It's very similar to how Rodgers, couple first years, just everything looked like it was going way too fast for him, and it ended up just being a scramble drill most of the time.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, it looked like he knew where everything was. He knew where the pieces were, and he had his, he wasn't locked in on people.
No.
But he knew where he needed to go with the ball. And that's what you wanted to see. And it was very much coming, contrasting it to the way Rodgers has been. I think the thumb being the big factor is that it looked so much faster than what Aaron Rodgers has been going through with his progressing and maybe just the line play as well. Let's be granted there. They were playing with in a 14-point deficit. Maybe Philadelphia had, loosened up the defensive grips a little bit, but I liked what I saw just from that. And am I clamoring to say right now you need to make him the starter? No, but I think he's going to be, because I think with an oblique injury, I think Aaron Rodgers might be sitting a couple games here.
Yeah, I know Aaron said after the game that he was optimistic about playing Chicago. Matt LaFleur, saying if he's good to go, he'll still be the starter and such. I wouldn't be surprised, though, at some point if we see that IR, like putting Aaron on IR and then Jordan Love, playing a few games maybe at the end of the season sort of thing. But I agree with you, what you said about Jordan Love, too. He looked confident. He looked decisive. He looked comfortable. And he looked like where he knew where to go with the football, right? Like the Christian Watson throw, I know the majority of his yards came on that yak from Christian Watson, but that's something we wanted to see, right? Was get Christian Watson the ball in space and let him use his speed. Made a great throw to A.J. Dillon on the flat. Aaron Jones dropped that throw on the sideline. He just looked more poised. And part of me was wondering too, Justice, is Jordan Love playing more within the scheme, more within the style of offense than maybe what we've seen from Aaron Rodgers? Because he's Aaron Rodgers, right? He can do a bunch of different things. You let him maybe ad-lib a little bit more, adjust a little bit more. But if Jordan Love is playing and he's playing more snaps and he's starting games, are we going to actually see a quarterback that plays within the system or the scheme a little bit more? And is that a good thing?
It might be. It might be just because of the way the offense is drawn up. And like you said, with Rodgers, he's got his tendencies. I mean, it's hard to break a guy of, this long of a career of some of those tendencies. So,
Yeah.
and then a lot of those tendencies are very good instincts, though, too. Let's not give it up.
Right.
If a healthy Aaron Rodgers making some of those throws is different than Rodgers with that thumb injury. So I think it's good. It's good for Jordan Love, too. I mean, it really is, because then you don't want him ad-libbing as much right now. I think that will come, and we've seen that with a lot of the quarterbacks that have made the progressions, and he'll have his opportunities. I think Patrick Mahomes, I mean, the king of ad-libbing. Josh Allen, at his first couple of years wasn't ad-libbing as much, but now once they get comfortable, it all depends. I mean, if Jordan Love's so comfortable in this offense that he can make those ad-libs, that's good. I think the ultimate thing's going to be, do they IR Rodgers and have Love start a few? Do we possibly, could that game against the Lions be Aaron Rodgers' final game at Lambeau Field now?
It would be the Titans.
Yeah, true. Sorry,
Yeah.
I can't read. But yeah, I mean, it's that same Brett Favre situation, from 15, 16, 17 years ago now.
It is.
Is this going to be the end of the Aaron Rodgers era? We will find out, but I don't know. The Packers have a big decision to make with Jordan Love, and they're going to at least probably get a good look at him to know what they have here in the next, the final 7-6 games of the season here.
Not only for their purpose, and they see it in practice all the time, and that, and but maybe putting him on showcase for other teams too. I mean, because teams are always looking for quarterbacks at this point. Every single year.
I mean, if Jordan Love goes out there and just is amazing, then you know what you have.
Yeah.
And then I think the decision's almost made, because it makes your salary cap situation a lot easier, but also tough. It's still not easy because all the money tied up with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But if Jordan Love goes out there and plays average, but you're able to still get some draft picks for him.
Yep.
There you go. So, yeah, tough decision for Brian Gutekunst here towards the end of this season.
Mm-hmm. There's the thing too, is like it's almost the worst best case scenario. Aaron says, "Hey, I'm coming back next year." You get a healthy Aaron, but Jordan Love plays a few games and he looks spectacular. They're going to pick up the 5th-year option, but that means you got a lot of moolah, in both. Even if Aaron retires, that's still a lot of money against the salary cap. But it's almost like, hey, we're paying a lot for the guy to sit, because if Jordan Love looks fantastic, let's say he starts a few games and he looks fantastic. Aaron says, "I'm coming back for one more year." Green Bay ain't trading Jordan Love then. They're going to hold on to that guy.
Right. You just take you get the option, and then you figure, or you even extend them at this point. And so you're right. Yeah, you definitely, if Rodgers wants to come back, I think you still have him back, especially if he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a guy you don't want to doubt.
No.
If he comes back and he's healthy, and this offense is growing, which we've already seen some of the growth, especially from Christian Watson, and then you have a chance to go out and maybe add some pieces. Yeah, I think if Rodgers says he wants to come back another year, you do it, and then you have Jordan. It would be, I don't know. Tell me if you agree with this or not. Would you like to see them maybe work in Jordan Love even once in a while? It almost like they were going to do it last year, but didn't. But I would love to see, just throw him out there every once in a while, just change things up.
Yeah.
Maybe even, I don't know, on those rush, those like a second down where you can use it as a run option, read option kind of play.
Well, that's, something, and Collinsworth mentioned it during the broadcast, and at first, for maybe a lot of people, it's like, well, another no duh comment from Collinsworth. But I also think it's a factor in Aaron Rodgers' game, and it's just due to father time. The threat of being able to use your legs, to be able to run the football with your quarterback. Josh Allen can do that yet. Patrick Mahomes can do that. Obviously, Jalen Hurts can do that. Lamar Jackson. Chicago's offense has gotten so much better now because of they're letting Justin Fields run the football, right? Well, even Aaron Rodgers during his heyday in his prime, he was a threat to run the football, right? I mean, he was dangerous at that. But you kind of mentioned the Jordan Love thing. Do you bring him in? I mean, because there was times when Green Bay just couldn't pick up a 3rd and 3 throughout. How many times this season, Justice?
Right.
And there was times where it's like Aaron just looked like he didn't want to run or didn't have any motivation to run the football. And, Collinsworth had brought it up. He's like, is it almost now, are we at the point it's detrimental to have a quarterback where there's no threat to at least run the football. Tom Brady's been great for a lot of years. Aaron Rodgers has been great for a lot of years. Drew Brees at the end of his career, obviously pocket passer, great too. But are we at that age now in the NFL where you need that quarterback to be able to at least have the threat to run the football, even if it's just for a 6-7 yard carry? Heck, Taylor Heineke did it 2 years ago against Green Bay.
Oh, it definitely helps. I mean, you look at Jalen Hurts last night, and having that ability to step up and run definitely makes a difference. And no, you're right. I think the Rodgers, obviously, where he was 10 years ago to now, I mean, he's still mobile and he can still get away from things, but he's not. It's anybody with age. It's going to happen where you just slow down a little bit, and you're going to probably the tendency is going to be to throw because you know what hurts? Getting hit. So, yeah, I think it does help. It really does. And I think, with Jordan Love, I think you're going to have that mobility. I still think there's obviously still a big place for pocket passers because being able to be precise with your passing is always going to be right there. And I think, at least at times, I think Jalen Hurts was, it was almost better to have him throwing the ball than running it yesterday at times because he's just off the mark a lot of the times. Not a lot of the times because he made some really nice passes too. So, yeah, I mean, the balance is there, but I think we've shifted. The quarterback position is changing, and it's like everything in football. I think quarterback position may have taken a lot longer to evolve than many of the other ones, and that might be just coming from coaching and stuff like that. But it's a new day and age for quarterbacks, and like Collinsworth made a great, as much as people deter on Collinsworth, he made a great point. Is like that's all they're playing in college now,
right?
Is these mobile quarterbacks that can do both. Unless you were the Badgers. And so, yeah, it definitely is something that it's, you're going to have a hard press to just find pocket passers anymore. There's still a great place for them, but I think, the position has definitely changed.
Yeah, I agree. So a couple of texts we'll catch up to here before we take our break here. Richie a little bit earlier. Loved what I saw. Let's see what he's got over the over 5 games. Ad Rock, start him now. Rodgers has 2 injuries, and it's obvious he's physically struggling. Going back to one more, Jordan Love looked really comfortable and feel he should be fine. Reminds me of how Aaron started his career. A couple of quiet comments on Fickle here. We got more than Dan. I think, my son is a college football coach. This is from Mark. Talking to him last night. He said he has met Coach Fickle several times at conventions, etc., and his team has played Cincinnati. His words to me were, "Good dude, great hire." So,
good to hear that.
Yeah, this one was a little bit earlier. I'd like to see more of Jordan Love, not just see what he can do, but also I think it would give us some more insight into Matt LaFleur's scheme. So, kind of what we were saying a little bit earlier.
Aaron Rodgers is where he's at, like in that game last night. You got to start Love.
Yeah,
I don't think you want to start a 75 to even 60% Aaron Rodgers when you could put 100% Jordan Love out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
especially with a 4-8 record at this point.
Right. At this point, you are hanging those, what's the percentage to make the playoffs now for the Packers?
2%.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you're saying there's a chance. Yes. I'm not going to deny that, you run the table, but we've been, it's been run the table for how many, the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Now it's literally you run the table to even have a shot.
I agree.
Percentage-wise of getting in. So, yeah, I think that makes you think if he's injured, give Jordan Love the start this week.
Yeah. All right. Hey, we got to take a quick break and restart the Zoom here. So we'll do that. Well, we'll take a quick break and then we'll finish up the second hour here with Mr. Justice Cleveland. Don't forget, text over your studs and duds list. All right. Who made your studs and who made your duds? We'll get to those coming up a little bit later on. But we'll take that break and we'll be back after these few quick words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Get ready to save with half-off deals. A great way for you to get goods and services that you will love and you don't have to pay full price. Be sure to check out all the great savings that half-off deals have to offer. There's something for everyone, so be sure to see for yourself. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
It won't be long when we head out for our California farm tour with all the Northern California agricultural highlights. February 10th through the 18th, the date of the farm tour. But before that, we want you to come in and see all the great things we're going to do. Our Northern California Agricultural Highlights Tour. There's a special travel party Tuesday, November 29th, 3 times that day at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 7 o'clock at the Holiday Vacations Conference Center on Henry Avenue in Eau Claire. Come and see these pictures of the cable car. We'll take a look at San Francisco Bay, San Francisco City Tour, the Napa Valley Wine Tour, olive oil, the Yolo Land and Cattle Company, Hillmar Cheese Factory and Almond Orchards, World Ag Expo, a dairy farm, and so much more. So come on in and see what we're going to be doing. A Northern California Agriculture Tour travel party Tuesday, November 29th at Holiday Vacations Conference Center in Eau Claire.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan? For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at WIPGA.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
Get your next trailer from the all-new Courtesy Auto in Stanley. Hi, this is John, and yes, Courtesy Auto in Stanley has expanded again. We are now selling trailers from some of the best manufacturers like Delft, Bravo, Rugged Terrain, and Formula, just to name a few. From dump box trailers to simple aluminum to fully enclosed and outfitted for work and play. Maybe our new name should be Courtesy Auto and Trailer? Whatever the name, just call me, John the Trailer Guy at Courtesy Auto in Stanley, or look at the trailers at drivecourtesyauto.com. See you.
This Black Friday, Dell's Cyber Monday event starts now. Wheels on Business Tech. The savings start now with up to 50% off on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget to on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and full financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Cyber Monday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
I'd like to get real with you for a moment. All across the country and even in our town, there are people who have to go without. Perhaps even you, having to go without being able to hear parts of the Dan Kasper Show. It's tragic, but there is help. You can listen to segments from Dan's show and new content on the Man Cave podcast. Check it out for yourself on your favorite podcasting platform.
Nine minutes to about the top of the hour here. Finishing up things here with Mr. J.C. Nisi, Justice Cleveland. Morning, Dano. This big worm. Quick text here. What if the Packers found another Hall of Fame quarterback? Yes, I know it's huge, but you never know. Hey, big worm, I want to send me a text too. What are your thoughts on the Luke Fickell hire? Because I know you were a big one of not wanting Paul Chris there, so you got Luke Fickell. What are your thoughts there, big worm? Shoot me a text, okay? All right, so. Man alive, there's we got Badger stuff going on, Justice. The Hoops team in their tournament for Battle for Atlantis. Third place finish, but they took Kansas to OT after, falling behind early, made a comeback, took Kansas to OT, then beat USC. Is this just another example? I know it's early season, overreactions and that sort of thing, but is this just another example? I think it was Andy Katz that had tweeted after the tournament. Just another, Wisconsin picked to finish in the bottom half of the Big Ten. That's not going to happen. There's another example of people, not giving enough love to Greg Gard and his Badger basketball team. Because I would say even with that loss, hey, that was a good weekend for Badger basketball.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that you were, you probably don't want to see the struggles against Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
But to come back the next game and prove how good you are and nearly knock off a number 3 Kansas squad and then defeat USC, yeah. I mean, that shows you, I mean, it's your Badger teams. They're going to be, they can play with anybody. They can likely lose to anybody as well. But I think
you've said that many times before.
Yes, that is. I mean, put it on my grave. Justice Cleveland says the Badgers can beat anybody and lose to anybody. I mean, that really is. I mean, when they're shooting hot, like they were against Kansas, that gives you a chance to win. You struggle shooting, like you were against Dayton, you lose. You almost lose to them. So, yeah, I think this team is not going to be bottom of the Big Ten.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll find out this week's a good week with Wake Forest tomorrow. And then you got the Marquette game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always a fun little rivalry game that they have going on with Marquette. Two teams, Marquette's a team on the rise. Wisconsin's a team trying to show that they're on the rise. I think that's going to be a really fun game on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it just seems like it's another typical Badger basketball team, a grind it out type of team that's going to wear you down and, always kind of be in it, hanging around. And then it's like a Cobra. They strike right at the end. You know what I mean? Like Cobra Kai. Strike. Put that in there. So, yeah, you got the Big Ten ACC Challenge coming up this week. All right, how about that? I feel like after the Marquette game, that's when the season really starts to kick in. I don't know why, but I feel like that's when Badger basketball really starts to kick in.
And you start with conference play.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 top 25 teams right after Marquette with Maryland and Iowa. Then you kind of go back to the Christmas break for a while.
Yeah.
All those non-conference games before you get back into it, after New Year's. But yeah, I mean, this is a good stretch, really good stretch of basketball. And we'll really know a lot after these next 2 weeks of what this team's going to do. Because putting up that close game against Kansas shows you the ability and the talent they have.
Sticking with hoops, let's give a little love to the Bucks. They got a win last night against the Mavericks. The 2-game winning streak right now because they beat the Cavs the other night. They did fall to the Bulls before that Cavs game. They've got the Knicks coming up on Wednesday night. But last night in their game against the Mavericks, against their former head coach, Jason Kidd, 124-115. Giannis, 30 points, doing his thing again. The Greek freak, 30 points there. Brook Lopez was in some foul trouble, but still managed to finish with 13 points, 2 of 3 from 3. Drew Holiday, 16. Grayson Allen putting up 25 points and shooting 7 of 8 from 3. I know last week we kind of talked about first month impressions with this Bucks team. A lot more positives and negatives. But if you're looking at one area of improvement for this Bucks team, Justice, would it be more consistent 3-point shooting, or are we willing to wait on that because we know Joe Ingles is coming back, we know Chris Middleton's coming back, so that improvement will come with just those additions?
Oh, I think that will. I think it just improves. One of the biggest things is just their depth.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of guys that they have compared to last year. I mean, they had some depth last year, but it seems like you got the guys like Jordan Nwora who can come in if he needs to play a full game and you get you 20 points if you had to. So I think the depth is really going to be the big thing that will improve this team and solid. And we're still talking about a team that's missing their second best player.
Yeah.
And that's that. I mean, when Chris Middleton comes back and you throw in the depth that they have, and you're not going to have to start these guys game in and game out. You can give them rest and not get a huge drop off. I think that's really what I've seen from this Bucks team so far, is just these bench guys really getting into their roles. And maybe that was something that Coach Bud, looking last year at the playoffs, and maybe where, with Middleton out, made some moves that just didn't work out.
Yeah.
That, maybe there's more of a conscious effort to get these guys in there and play more. Obviously, you want your main starters there for these bigger games, but the fact that you can throw in some of these other guys and get some good performances, I think that's huge.
And I think the defense too. That's just the fact. You look at a lot of their defensive statistics or categories, Bucks are top 5 in a lot of them, and we know they're playing a little bit more of the perimeter defense. But Brook Lopez is thriving in this, block shots. I mean, talks about early defensive player of the year. You look at they're number 1 in rebounds which is, even Brook Lopez, he's not a double-digit rebounder, but Giannis is just crashing the boards there. So they're being really aggressive on defense in the early parts of this season, which I think a lot of Bucks fans love to see.
Yeah, and I think you can't overlook the fact that having Brook Lopez in the middle there frees up Giannis to kind of, freelance a little bit more and come up with these rebounds, get these, just play some really good defense. It's Brook who you have to go around.
Yeah.
So Giannis, and then it just improves the game all around, because then you got Giannis who can lead the fast breaks. He's not stuck under the hoop trying to be the man defending the hoop. That's more of Lopez's spot. So, and not that Giannis is, it takes him 4 steps to get across the court, but still, I mean, like, having him have an extra half step ahead of the defense makes a huge difference. If they're not in position, if you're not in perfect position to stop Giannis, good luck. So, yeah, I think Brook, you can say early season team MVP, because just what he has brought to that team on both sides of the ball.
Right. I totally agree. All right, JC, that shot clock's going to cut us off here in the next, less than 2 minutes here. So, final thoughts from you. Badgers getting Luke Fickell as head coach on a scale of 1 to 10. How impressed are you with this hiring?
Oh, I don't like to say 10, but I mean, it's right there, 9.75.
Yeah.
Just because you obviously there's that chance that it doesn't work out. But to me, it's a grab that you don't expect from Wisconsin. And it's also just such a big move on Chris McIntosh's part, because your legacy is on the line. And if this fails, people are going to be clamoring, like, why did you go outside to get somebody?
Yeah.
But if you see it and you're there, like Chris McIntosh is within the athletic program, and you see that something's lacking, this is a big move that may be needed. So,
yeah. I know I only got a few seconds here, but is it fair to say Chris McIntosh has put all the pressure on him with his move, whereas if Jimmy Leonard got the job, all the pressure would have been on Jimmy Leonard?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think if Chris McIntosh, because then you just a couple of years down the road, if it doesn't work out, it's really not on McIntosh. Yeah, I think that completely is the way to put it. It would have been a lot on Jim Leonard's shoulders to turn it around. Now, at least with Luke Fickell, you've got a guy who's been in programs, who's led programs. So the pressure's on McIntosh. I think it's not even Fickell, because Fickell will land on his feet if something was to go wrong.
Right. All right, JC. Appreciate it as always, man. It always goes by fast with you, buddy. You have a fantastic week, okay, sir?
Yes, thank you, and everybody out there as well.
Awesome. All right, we've got 1 more hour to go. Stick around. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after his news updates.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
Well, it'll be final this week. The 2022 election finalized, set for Wednesday, as the Wisconsin Elections Commission is planning to meet that morning to certify the vote. County election managers finalized the count last week. There won't be any recounts this year. Only the Secretary of State's race could have qualified, but the Republican candidates in that race conceded last week. Now, once those totals are final, we will get a number for voter turnout and some other pieces of election day data like that. Well, it's a name that many Badger fans didn't expect to hear. We may not have gotten the axe back during that game, but the axe was dropped when it came to making a new coaching call, right, John?
The university yesterday named Cincinnati coach Luke Fickell as the new head football coach. Fickell was a co-defensive coordinator at Ohio State for years and won 2 national championships there before coaching Cincinnati into the college football playoffs last year. Many Badger fans expected the university to hire interim coach Jim Leonard instead. I'm John DeMaster.
Well, we're chatting football. If you stayed up to watch the game, then you likely already know. But what about that injury? Here's what 12 says.
It was in the first half and then got kind of re-aggravated in the third quarter. Just having a hard time breathing and rotating my upper body. So I was worried about a punctured lung as well. So I want to get that checked out.
Expecting an update on number 12 later today. Meanwhile, we switch sports and look further ahead into next year. Stevens Point Mayor Mike Wiesa says they're planning for traffic underway as the area prepares for next year's USGA Men's Senior Open at Century World.
Staffing for volunteers or community service officers to get traffic flowing correctly. And if there's an accident, where do we reroute the traffic to? or if the road gets blocked for some reason.
More than 70,000 spectators, sponsors, and participants will converge on Century World for the Senior Open, and that'll run June 29th through July 2nd. If you're looking to get out into the state parks, those 2023 State Park and State Forest emission stickers are now on sale. The DNR launched that sale over the holiday weekend. $28 if you live here in Scotty, $38 for out of state, and they're valid from the day you buy them through the end of next year. They say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, so something tells me this little guy in California, he's not rolling over or shaking paws anytime soon, but he's a good boy.
The 22-year-old Chihuahua from Los Angeles is now the oldest in the world. Gino was born in 2000 and adopted when he was 2. His owner was a sophomore at the University of Colorado Boulder at the time and says his roommates pitched in to help care for the pup. Guinness World Records recently certified Gino as the oldest living dog. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And once Kasper walked the stage at Medford, it was kind of a little bumpy start in life, and said, what did you do to keep the guy, on the softball team, keep his spirits up, that kind of thing? They had a plan. They had a strategy.
It says his roommates pitched in to help care for the pup.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
Today will be the calm before the winter storm heads our way tomorrow, as we'll have a good bit of cloud cover today, but despite that, climbing to the low 40s. Still mild through the overnight as we dip to the low 30s, but we'll start to see those chances for some snow showers move in tomorrow morning. Towards our southern counties, may even have a little bit of rain mixed in. Accumulations look to be about 1 to 3 inches to the south and even higher amounts to our northern and western counties as highs climb to the low to mid 30s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike Dandria.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's the show that features serious, thought-provoking sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it!
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it!
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth!
Here is your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time! Prime time!
Final hour kicking off on this Monday morning, the final Monday of November. What do we got here? The 27th? I appreciate y'all tuning in wherever you may be tuning in, however you may be tuning in. Coming up here in just a couple minutes, we'll kick off the hour with some studs and duds. Who made your studs and duds list from the weekend or the past week? You can play along with us and send those babies on over. We'll get to a little Monday motivation coming up after that. We'll get back to more Badger chats with the hiring of Luke Fickell to the job of head ball coach for the Badger football team. Surprising, I think, a lot of people, if not everybody out there. Your thoughts, quick update on the poll that we put up on Twitter in case you want to take a vote. Hit me up on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at DANKASPER. But we got 2 poll questions up there. The first one, Badgers fans, thoughts on your new head football coach. 75.6% of you saying you love it. 24.4% of you saying you still wanted Jim Leonard. The second poll question that we got up there, it was a small sample size, but your thoughts on Jordan Love last night was 63.2% of you saying, look good, start him. 26.3% of you saying, good, but I'd still start Aaron. 5.3% of you saying, meh, it was okay. And then 5.3% of you saying, not impressed at all. So if you want to vote, again, Twitter at DANKASPER.
Who's the stud and who's the dud? You decide right now on the Dan Kasper Show.
All right, I'm going to kick it off with some of my... Well, before that, we've got Surveyor's got a couple of studs and duds here. Studs, Tyler Wall, Connor, babyface from the Badger basketball team. Wisconsin looking to be way better than everyone expected. Duds, both Wisconsin football teams, just pathetic efforts, especially the Axe game. My studs, I actually did have Badger hoops on here when I was doing this at about 4-something this morning. I did have Badger hoops there with their performance in Battle for Atlantis. Dayton was a close game. Remember, Dayton was ranked 2 at the beginning of the year, but they got through that one. They grinded out. They got through that. Down early, big to Kansas, but they battled back and forced OT and just fell a little short. But then they bounced back and take care of business against USC. So I put the Badger Hoops team on there as one of my studs from the past week, past few days. I put Chris McIntosh on here because, I said it a little bit earlier. Dude's got some marbles. I mean, he could have stayed status quo. He could have, if we're just looking at this straight up football program, he could have maybe just rode out the season with Paul Christ and made a move in the offseason. He could have just promoted Jimmy Leonard to full-time head coach and taken off the interim label. And majority of Badger fans would have loved it, would have praised it. Great move. Chris McIntosh looks like a genius. He's trailblazing his own path. And he went out there and he got one of the bigger names in college football in terms of taking the next step up. I mean, Luke Fickell last year, coach of the year, took Cincinnati to the college football playoff. Some rumblings about maybe going over to Notre Dame. It was always talked about, could he replace Ryan Day at Ohio State if Ryan Day were to ever leave? It's mentioned with other programs like Florida State, et cetera, over the years. Scott's got him. Badgers got him. So Chris McIntosh, that's a stud for last 2 years, almost 2 years now he's coming up on as athletic director. It's been active, and I think he has now kind of sent a message throughout the whole entire athletic department. Expectations, they're a little bit higher now. And I think if I'm Tony Granato and that men's Badger hockey team, a little bit nervous because your AD ain't afraid to make some moves. Duds, with that pathetic run defense from the Packers last night. Oh man, I mean, so they didn't break. It was being talked about during the telecast, but it sure looked like Jalen Hurts was going to set some records in running the football. That the Philadelphia Eagles might have set some records as a team overall running the football. They fell short, just a little bit short of their 1948 franchise record of total rushing yards in a game. 1948, for crying out loud, was when they just started to throw the football back in the day. But Jalen Hurts ran the ball for more yards than he threw it. 157 on the ground. Miles Sanders followed that up with 143. When you knew they were going to run the football, you still can't stop it. Missing tackles, getting dominated at the line of scrimmage. It was awful. Everything about that defensive performance was awful, besides, the fumble and Quay Walker returning it and the two quarterback sneak stops, although, let's face it, they did get a little bit of help on that fourth down one, whatever the heck that was. That was, fumble, Jason Kelce on the ball. I don't know. They got a little bit of help on that from the Eagles, poo-pooing that play. But, there's a lot of Badger/Packer fans out there that are saying, hey, Jim Leonard might be an opening. Matt LaFleur, do you try to give another shout to Jimmy Leonard? We might hit that question up a little bit more tomorrow because I want to hear what McIntosh and Fickell have to say about maybe the prospects of Jimmy Leonard staying on the staff as defensive coordinator and that sort of thing. But I've got a question regarding Jimmy Leonard and the Packers, but I'll probably save it for tomorrow. So hold on to your thoughts about that. We'll save on to it for tomorrow until we get a little bit more clarity on that thing. But I don't know how in the world Joe Barry could stay on as defensive coordinator. I just, I think it's a combination of scheme, injuries, players not performing up to their expectations, to the level that they should be. It's a full-on combination of all three. But who's going to take the fall? Who's going to get the blame? It's going to be the coach. It's going to be the defense coordinator. Joking up about this, man. Holy moly. So those are my losing my voice, guys. Those are my studs and duds. Rest of you can play along if you want. Okay. Oh, boy. Luke Fickell. Who saw that coming? Not me. I don't think a lot of you saw that thing coming. You know, I was, for the most part, I actually stayed off social media during the break, during Thanksgiving. I was like, you know what? Gonna kind of, I don't need to be scrolling through it. Don't need to be checking it all the time. Facebook, Twitter, something big, I'll get a notification. I actually kind of quieted some of the notifications. I was a little under the weather for over a week now. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to take a break. And then I randomly just kind of popped up the phone and saw something about report Badgers honing in on Luke Fickell. And then I was like, oh, it was like 40 minutes ago. And then it was like, hey, Luke Fickell is the new head coach. I'm like, a big pardon? What just happened here? I mean, all week we were hearing it's Jimmy Leonard. It's Jimmy Leonard. You know, after the Nebraska game, they posted it. It's like, okay, that's got to be Jimmy Leonard's job. I mean, even when Paul Chryst was fired, it was like, that's got to be Jimmy Leonard's job. But Badger Athletic Director Chris McIntosh had something else to say about it. And he got Luke Fickell. Now, reports are saying that the other coaches that were either interviewed or vetted was Dave Aranda, former Badger defensive coordinator, now with Baylor. Lance Leipold, who was with Kansas, signed that extension. Obviously, Jimmy Leonard and Luke Fickell. And when we were throughout this whole process, we were throwing out other possibilities at the beginning. You know, Lance was the hot name, right? Because Kansas was off to a fantastic start. He's got the connection, UW Whitewater coach, former UW Whitewater coach, et cetera, et cetera. That fizzled off. Then it's like, okay, who else could, you know, Matt Rule? Yeah, oh, no. Never really heard Luke Fickell's name mentioned. And I don't know if that was just because it was maybe viewed as a pipe dream, that it would never happen. But here we are. He's a new head ball coach for the Wisconsin Badgers. And I think this tells us a couple different things. One, I think this tells us that Chris McIntosh, he wants to compete for national championships. He wants to compete for college football playoff spots. College football playoff is expanded to 12 teams. It's going to get a little bit easier to get in just because you're allowing more teams in there. But your Big Ten conference is going to get a whole lot tougher. You got USC coming in. You got UCLA coming in. More money is going to be coming in. Recruiting is going to be tougher because there's going to be more competition for it. And I think you look at this Badger football program the last couple of years, and we've kind of seen it with the team, with the players. We've read the articles, we've read the reports. Recruiting has been slacking, right? It's been slacking a little bit. And now you're entering an era of college football where you've got NILs, you've got all this other stuff going on. You got a Big Ten conference that's getting bigger and better. You better have a fantastic recruiting game. So what does Chris McIntosh do? He goes and hires a fantastic recruiter, but also a damn good football coach. That's a home run hire. I don't know how Luke Fickell's career at Wisconsin will work out. I don't know how long he's going to stay there at Wisconsin. I know there's some people saying, well, it's just another, launching pad for his career. I don't know. What would be next? Ohio State or Notre Dame at this point? Well, Ryan Day's a young man. I know there's a lot of Ohio State fans upset with him after the loss against Michigan. Ryan Day has been rumored about a potential leap to the NFL. But Chris McIntosh, I think he is sending a message that I want our goals and expectations to be higher. I want our, sights set on bigger prizes. I don't want to be just satisfied with conference championships or New Year's Day bowl games or anything like that. I want more. I want more. I want to be viewed as one of the top programs, athletic departments in the entire country. I want to be viewed as a title contending program. It's a tough mountain. It's going to be a tall mountain. I mean, Big Ten's loaded. We know about the SEC. It's going to be tough. But now with the college football playoff expanding, you get 12 in there. We say it every year when it comes to the postseason with professional teams, or even in basketball, the tournament. Get in the dance and see what happens. Anything could happen in the dance. Just give it a shot. Give your team a shot, a chance. Just want a chance. And of course, you've got Badger players who have gone out on Twitter, social media, and voiced their frustration or their disappointment that Jimmy Leonhard didn't get the job. That shouldn't be a big surprise. Think about it with a lot of these kids. These kids, these college athletes, they've been with a lot of these coaches or have known them since their high school days, potentially. I mean, through the recruiting process in their high school days. I mean, when they get to college, they're with these coaches. I mean, they develop really, really close relationships with these coaches. So, of course, they're going to be disappointed, hurt when their guy doesn't get the job and it's an outsider coming in. You're going to have those emotions. Shouldn't expect anything less. You have former Badgers. I know Owen Daniels tweeted it's tough to cheer for this program right now. Well, that's a Jimmy Leonhard guy too. Get it? It's disappointing. It's disappointing for his buddy, for his friend. But when you look at it on the surface, the Badgers hired a winner. They hired a guy who could build a program, who could go out there and recruit. Luke Fickell, for crying out loud, had to recruit in the same state as Ohio State. Okay, he still had to go out there and do that. And then you look at the prospects that were drafted, all out of Cincinnati in the 2022 NFL draft. Sauce Gardner is the big one. Yeah, he's that corner who's lighting it up right now with the Jets. Luke Fickell can recruit. Luke Fickell can coach. He's proven that. These are just some of the other, so Sauce Gardner you had on there. Alec Pierce, the wide receiver, went to the Colts. There was quite a few Packers people kind of like, oh, that would be a great fit for Green Bay. Brian Cook, another second rounder. Desmond Ridder, the QB. I'm excited about it. As a Badgers fan, yeah, it's disappointing for Jimmy Leonhard. It's a great story. It's a great story that we have seen since his high school to his playing days to, NFL and then coming back as a coach. And it just seemed like it was going to line up. He was going to be the man to usher in a new era of Badger football. It would have been a great story. It was a Hollywood script, right? And if he would have gotten a job, there wouldn't have been anybody upset about it. But this Luke Fickell hiring is a fantastic hire. Because I feel like the Badgers, I don't know if they have to totally rebuild the program like some people out there are saying, like building up a program and such. It might be an adjustment year. But you are going to get a guy that comes in, knows how to build up that program, knows how to build up a program where they're kind of second fiddle within their own state. Wisconsin's not second fiddle in their own state, but when you look at in terms of the conference, it's always going to be Ohio State. It's going to be Michigan. You got Penn State up there. He knows how to build a program and coach a program that might, be taken for granted at times. And we know he knows how to freaking coach. So I'm excited. This is an exciting era. This is an exciting new era for Badger football. And I think for Badger Athletics overall, because, again, I think Chris McIntosh is sending a statement to the rest of his athletic department. Our goals are different. Our expectations are higher. And this is a Badger guy, too. This isn't an outsider. Chris McIntosh could have just kept up with the whole, we want Badger people. Easy thing would have been just to promote Jimmy Leonard. But I think he's sending a message like, we all need to step up our games. And let's focus on some bigger prizes here. And it starts now with this Badger football team. And if I'm the men's hockey team and I'm Tony Granato, I'm a little bit more nervous. I think this is awesome. Again, it sucks for Jimmy Leonard. And who knows? Maybe he does stay on as defensive coordinator. Maybe, he just takes a deep breath, takes a couple days, takes a few days, let the disappointment kind of wear off. It'll still be there. I mean, we're all human, right? It's going to be there. He's disappointed. He's upset. That's his dream job. He's talked about it how many times. Loves that university. Maybe he stays on his defense corner. Maybe he's like, you know what? It's just better to cut ties and blaze a new path, a new chapter in my life. Maybe it's in the NFL. Maybe it's at another college university. At another university. Who knows? But if you're a Badger football fan, if you take away the personal side of Jimmy Leonard, this is a fantastic hire. And this is a hire that I don't think a lot of people expected to happen. The goals and the expectations have just risen now for this Badger football team. It ain't about winning Big Ten West champions and getting to the Big Ten championship game. Expectations now have changed to we expect to compete for playoffs and national championships. That's what this hire tells me. All right, we got to take a quick break. I want to get to some green and gold chat. My opinion on Jordan Love's kind of changing here a little bit. Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know. Let's talk about it.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Hi, I'm Mike Yancey from Yancey & Associates. We're passionate about continuing on our mission to help more Wisconsin businesses create more success. If you have any questions about our best-in-class insurance products or just want a second opinion about your insurance or employee benefits, I invite you to check out ANSI.com, or better yet, give us a call at Yancey & Associates. And let's have a conversation about your business and how we can help you secure, protect, and grow your version of the American dream.
It won't be long when we head out for our California farm tour with all the Northern California agricultural highlights. February 10th through the 18th, the date of the farm tour. But before that, we want you to come in and see all the great things we're going to do. Our Northern California Agricultural Highlights Tour. There's a special travel party Tuesday, November 29th, 3 times that day at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 7 o'clock at the Holiday Vacations Conference Center on Henry Avenue in Eau Claire. Come and see the pictures of the cable car. We'll take a look at San Francisco Bay, San Francisco City Tour, the Napa Valley Wine Tour, olive oil, the Yolo Land and Cattle Company, Hillmar Cheese Factory and Almond Orchards, World Ag Expo, a dairy farm, and so much more. So come on in and see what we're going to be doing. A Northern California Agriculture Tour travel party Tuesday, November 29th at Holiday Vacations Conference Center in Eau Claire.
When it comes to the best flooring store in the business, no one matches Carpet City Flooring Center in every category. They have the best selection of floors, from carpet, tile, vinyl, laminate, you name it, including the ever-popular Rigid Max flooring system that would look spectacular in your own home. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire also works with some of the best installers in the area, so you know when you purchase your floor from Carpet City Flooring Center, it will be professionally put in by some of the best. And you can't top Carpet City Flooring Center's prices, because if for some reason you find another price elsewhere that's better, Carpet City Flooring Center will match or beat that price. They're undefeated in the pricing game. But what really separates Carpet City Flooring Center from the competition is the team you meet when you instantly walk into the doors. They are ready to help you and answer any questions you have to make the process of buying your new floor easy as possible. So when it's time for that new floor in your home, you only need to search out for one place, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue and check them out online at carpetcitywi.com.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan? For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at wipga.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane provider and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of playing against or with your favorite athlete, or imagining yourself chasing your dreams and experiencing life the way you're supposed to? That's how we came up with a name for Backyard Dreams. Backyard Dreams is WAYY Sports Talk 105.1 790 AM's charitable entity. We have 5 main goals for Backyard Dreams: to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. It doesn't matter if you are a child, teen, or an adult. Backyard Dreams wants to help anyone. For more information, success stories about Backyard Dreams, and if you know someone who could benefit from Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com and click on the Backyard Dreams tab. Family owned and operated, Toyson Ford is proud to serve the drivers of the Chippewa Valley with some of the most popular vehicles around Wisconsin and the country. They're committed to giving drivers from across the area the best in customer service with a top-notch selection of brand new vehicles to choose from, as well as an extensive inventory of pre-owned crossover, SUV, and trucks. Plus, with their expert finance, service, and parts centers in-house, they strive to be your one-stop dealership for all of your automotive needs. Visit them today at 1000 Chippewa Crossing Boulevard in Chippewa Falls.
He's smart, informed, entertaining, and he knows his sports. In other words, he's the kind of guy I'd like to settle down with in a small, cozy cabin in the woods. That is, if he was a woman with a case of cold ones. The Dan Kasper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Bottom of the hour here. Let's go over some of the comments. We've got, I think it's a great move. This is from Doug from the other yesterday. I think it's a great move. You're getting last year's Coach of the Year and someone who you know can recruit. Staying with another Wisconsin guy isn't going to change the culture like needs to be done. Feel bad for Leonard, but there will be plenty of other opportunities for him. I'm okay with it. It's about time they went with someone from completely outside to try and switch some things up. That was from Dave. Jamie said home run higher. Todd said a bit surprised, but maybe time for an outside coach with a proven record building and developing players. Brandon, great hire. They will ultimately be the best thing for the program. The recruiting piece will get way better when he can figure out the admission process. Wisco can't compete with the rest of the big, much less the NCAA if they can only get 3-star kids. I know a couple of you said that Barry Alvarez was an outside hire, that sort of thing, but get that, understand that. The point is that there's been this prevailing theory out there for the last few years that you need to hire Wisconsin Badger people to be Wisconsin Badger coaches, because with the whole whatever various reasons, excuses, that sort of thing of like, well, they understand the Badger way, or they know how to, the admissions process, that sort of thing. No. And if you look at it, there's been a lot of former Badgers who are head coaches right now or grew up in the Badger system to become head coaches. So, yes, I know. Barry Alvarez, was a outsider. That's not the point. It's the point of that this prevailing theory has been that you got to hire a Badger to be a Badger coach. And I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Big Worm, I absolutely love the hire. Hiring Fickle is a statement that we're serious about going to the Final Four instead of the Outback Bowl year after year. I want to be clear that we owe nothing to Jimmy Leonard. He took the job knowing full well if he didn't succeed, there would be repercussions. Dan, if you stunk it up as a radio host, you'd be fired, right? That's not a good example because I do stink. So, but now thanks for putting a spotlight on it, Big Worm. So, all right, let's talk a little Jordan Love here. So, what did you see from him last night? Did you like what you saw? Do you want to see more of him? Did that kind of maybe give you the motivation to, hey, I want to see a little bit more of this guy for the rest of the year? You factor in Aaron's got some rib, quad issues, whatever the heck is going on with him, with the thumb injury too. There's reports saying, I think it was Ian Rappaport said on yesterday it's an avulsion fracture, which I believe is what Russell Wilson had last year, where he had to have surgery and he missed those few games, but remember, made that miraculous comeback in time for the Packers game. But that requires surgery, and Aaron said again last night that surgery hasn't been talked about. So I don't know, but if it is that avulsion fracture, I mean that's a pretty serious thumb injury there. I don't know if we'll actually know the full details about it or not, but one of our poll questions that we got out there was, it was a small sample size, but your thoughts on Jordan Love last night was 56.8% of you saying, look good, start him. 31.8% of you saying, good, but I'd still start Aaron. 6.8% of you saying, meh, it was okay. 4.5% saying, not impressed. So it still looks like almost half, at least half who voted on the Twitter poll, almost half of the Packers fans out there want Aaron Rodgers to continue starting games if he's able to go out there and play. That's what those numbers tell me. 56.8% of you want Jordan Love to start, but 31.8% of you say, and I'd still start Aaron. And then when you factor in the 6.8 that said, he was okay, and 4.5 not impressed, almost nearly half you still want Aaron Rodgers starting games. The things that really stood out to me last night about Jordan Love, again, it was an incredibly small sample size. Nothing that we can really take, to the bank. Be like, and there's nothing that could tell us from last night that's like, that guy's going to be, 5-time MVP winner, going to lead the Packers to cut multiple Super Bowls, et cetera, et cetera. But the things that did stand out, he looked more confident. He looked more poised. He looked like the moment wasn't too big. And there was a part of me last night watching that game, and I'm like, are we watching a quarterback who's playing within the scheme, playing within the system? And I'm not trying to knock Aaron on it. Aaron's a special talent, been a fantastic player for how many years throughout his entire starting career. First ballot Hall of Famer, all that sort of stuff. You can do different things when Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. You throw Jordan Love in there, you have a quarterback that's playing within the scheme, within the play calls, that sort of thing. Probably not doing a whole lot of adjusting at the line of scrimmage, right? He can still audible in that, but probably not doing as much adjusting or changing of things on the fly as the Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers could do. And a lot of those yards came from the Christian Watson pass. But that's, one thing too that I think a lot of us wanted to see was Christian Watson really utilizing that speed, whether it was on deep routes, fly routes, or getting the ball in his hands and letting him run. That's exactly what that play did last night. He got the ball in space in the middle of the field, and he outran everybody for the touch. Made things interesting. Defense couldn't do anything to stop. Jordan Love goes back out there for another drive, gets the Packers into field goal position, gets the field goal, and then doesn't get the ball back. Because I like I don't know if I was the only one last night, but I was like, okay, when Jordan Love was in there, I was like, okay, defense, can you maybe step it up and just I want to see more Jordan Love. Go score quick, Philly, or make a quick stop, Packers D. I want to see more Jordan Love because his throws, he looked like he had some pretty dang good velocity. His accuracy was pretty darn sharp. So in just like 9 pass attempts, I was impressed with Jordan Love. Might be a little bit of an overreaction. Probably is an overreaction just based off 9 passing attempts. But that's what we got to go with. And honestly, I'm kind of at the point now where, all right, Aaron, you're a tough SOB. You're a tough guy. We know it. You've played through a lot of injuries. You've played through a lot of pain. You've got a broken thumb. You have something going on with your ribs now. Could be the cartilage. Could be a hairline fracture. We'll know later today with MRIs, apparently. But there is at a certain point where injuries could be a detriment to your team. Now, if this Packers team was maybe 8-4, 9-3, maybe a little bit different, but 4-8, I think I'm switching up my mindset, and I think I want to see a little bit more Jordan Love. I want to see what we got with this guy. Because last night, watching just those few pass attempts, it made me wanting more. It made me wanted to watch him play a little bit more. I want to see what else there we have. What else can he do? I go back to that Chiefs game from last year. And said it afterwards, and I still feel like he was a little bit handcuffed. Like, I almost felt like LaFleur or the Packers were like, okay, we don't want him to lose the game. So he kind of handcuffed him a little bit. I want to see Jordan Love with an open playbook. Preseason, great. Yes, he's gotten a lot of snaps. But has he gotten them with a lot of the number ones? No, he hasn't. Not with his number one offensive line, not with Aaron Jones, not with AJ. I know, like this past preseason, nobody, like hardly any of the number ones on that offense played, besides maybe a couple of offensive linemen. Aaron Jones didn't play. AJ Dillon didn't play. Robert Tonyan didn't play. Alan Lazard didn't play. Christian Watson was banged up. He did get a lot of time with Romeo Doubs. But he left me wanting more. Like, I want to see more. Like, I was like, okay, there's some positive stuff here. Can we see some more? And I'm kind of at that point now, too, where I'm like, all right, maybe it is time to put Aaron on the shelf, put him on the IR. I don't know if Green Bay will have the gonads to do it, and I don't know, it's going to be, I feel like we say this almost every offseason, but if Jordan Love goes out there and let's say he gets a few starts or a couple starts for the rest of the season, well, how many more games we got? We got 1, we got 5. Say he gets a handful of those. Jordan Love goes out there and balls. I mean, straight up balls out. I agree. And then let's say Aaron says in February, hey, I'm coming back. Oh, Green Bay's going to be like, well, either way, I mean, they're going to be a salary cap hell to begin with, but yeah, they ain't going to let Jordan Love go. I think if Aaron says he's coming back, Green Bay would be like, okay, is this your final year? We know you don't want a swan song. We know you've said you don't want a goodbye tour or anything like that. We'll keep it on the low. Just tell us because, we've got a decision we have to, with J-Love. I mean, it's going to be a weird offseason, but get to that when we get to that. But I came away with like, okay. I liked what I saw. He just looked confident. He looked poised. He looked comfortable. I know there was like Collinsworth last night noticed a little tongue wag from Jordan Love before he threw the football. I was like, oh, it's a Jordan thing and that. I don't know about that, but he looked cool. Like the moment wasn't too big. That's what I want to see out of a quarterback. I want to see more now. I want to see more from 10. I don't know if we will, but I'd be okay with it now if we do. This run defense, though, this defense overall, yikes. What else can you say that hasn't been said? I'll mention it tomorrow, but I will say, I know there's a lot of Packers fans that are saying, hey, Jim Leonard, defensive coordinator, come back now. You turned it down a couple years ago. Joe Barry got the job. Can you come back now? I will say Jim Leonard's not my number 1 pick. And I don't know if he's my number 2 pick either. And a couple other names out there that I would rather have than Jim Leonard. But I'm going to save that for tomorrow. Give you a little bit of a tease. If you listen, you already know who they are. But I just don't know anymore how Joe Barry can continue to be defensive coordinator. I mean, he'll probably finish out the year, but how do you go into next year saying, yeah, he deserves another year? No, I think it's not all on him. I think it's a combination of scheme, play calls. I think it's part talent not playing up to the level that they should be playing at. You can factor in some injuries on there too. But somebody's got to take the blame. Somebody's got to take the fall. And who always does it? It's always the coach first. So I just, and I don't know if like the next 5 games, unless somehow they go into Christmas Day in Miami and just like slow the heck down out of Miami and those speedy wide receivers. But whew, that might be, yikes. I don't know what to make of that one, but and I just feel like we're seeing players now, not all of them. Jair's the main one, but I feel like we're starting to see players that are just kind of like, kind of with an effort attitude. You know what I mean? Like Jair, we saw, was it, I can't remember, was it a couple weeks ago? What game was it? Was it Detroit maybe? Or Buffalo? Maybe it might have been Buffalo. But even late last night, he was apparently cramping up or something like that. Got off the field, was being showered with booze, apparently flipping the bird to everybody on his way out. But it just seems like I'm trying to be a body language expert right now, which I shouldn't be because I hate body language experts at times. But it just feels like Jair's like the last maybe couple months, ever since his comments about, even going back to the beginning of the year, really about wanting to be man coverage, wanting to be matched up with the other guy. Seems like he's been more of a vocal type of person. But just over the antics is like, F it. I don't know. It's the vibe. The vibe feels a little weird. Feels a little off. For whatever. I mean, a lot of reasons, but I just don't know how next year the Packers can open up another season with Joe Barry as defensive coordinator. I just don't. What from this unit have we seen from this year will make you go, yeah, that was good. Let's build off of that. I mean, even in the last few weeks, their pass defense, awful. All right, we got to take a quick break, our last break here. Final thoughts, closing arguments, all that good stuff. Oh, we got a Monday motivation, a motivational Monday. I'll hit that up. Coming up just past, after the break here. So we'll be back after these few words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
When it comes to all of your firearm needs, nobody matches the quality, the service, and the quantity that Tilden Gun has to offer. Locally owned and operated, Tilden Gun is your one-stop place when it comes to finding that new rifle, shotgun, handgun, or any ammunition or accessories you're looking for. They also have a used inventory of firearms, and they accept trade-ins. Plus, they offer a full range of gunsmith work. So if you're looking for a new firearm, here's what you do. Visit tildengun.com and check out their online inventory. Find what you're looking for, and then visit Sean and Tyler at Tilden Gun. They will work with you to get that firearm you have been looking for. And not only that, you'll get it at the best price. When it comes to finding that new firearm for the upcoming hunting season, look no further than the locally owned and operated Tilden Gun. Visit them today at 12427 98th Avenue, Chippewa Falls. That's just 3 miles from Tractor Central, just off of Highway Q. Or give them a call at 715-944-9852. Tilden Gun, the best products at the best prices. Your tailgating headquarters is at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Their top-of-the-line meat department, which includes the Dan Good Burger, will make you the talk of your tailgate party. And the dips for snacking, those are what will make you an MVP on game days. And you never have to worry about Hy-Vee not having what you need, because their shelves and coolers are always stocked up with your favorite goods. Be the MVP of your tailgate party with the help from another MVP. That's Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, located at 2424 East Claremont Avenue.
Are you up all night tossing and turning over your business's unsuccessful online marketing strategies? Midwest Family Eau Claire's digital team can be the warm glass of milk and cozy blanket that ensure a restful, worryless night's sleep. Let our team at Midwest Family Eau Claire turn your business's digital presence into profit. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how our integrated marketing solutions take the complexity of digital marketing out of your busy hands. MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com.
Need help paying for health care? As a health insurance navigator, my job is to help people find affordable or low-cost options. When you connect with an expert, getting coverage and our help is free. We find the best deals, whether it's from healthcare.gov or state coverage like BadgerCare. And you can reach us in person, phone, text, or online. Honestly, it's like chatting with a friend who knows everything about health insurance. Call the 211 helpline to find an expert near you, or go to wiscovered.com, paid for by Covering Wisconsin.
At Progressive, we know there's nothing like the feeling of riding a motorcycle with your crew on the open road. It's a primal, wild freedom, a feeling that would be impossible to recreate on the radio. Until now. Hit it, sound effects guy! No. We really lost our stride at the end there. Get 24/7 roadside assistance with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Roadside assistance subject to policy terms and limits and may require comprehensive coverage.
It won't be long when we head out for our California farm tour with all the Northern California agricultural highlights. February 10th through the 18th, the date of the farm tour. But before that, we want you to come in and see all the great things we're going to do. Our Northern California Agricultural Highlights Tour. There's a special travel party Tuesday, November 29th. 3 times that day at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 7 o'clock at the Holiday Vacations Conference Center on Henry Avenue in Eau Claire. Come and see the pictures of the cable car. We'll take a look at San Francisco Bay, San Francisco City Tour, the Napa Valley Wine Tour, olive oil, the YOLO Land and Cattle Company, Hillmar Cheese Factory and Almond Orchards, World Ag Expo, Dairy Farm, and so much more. So come on in and see what we're going to be doing. A Northern California Agriculture Tour travel party Tuesday, November 29th at Holiday Vacations Conference Center in Eau Claire.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help you troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil keeps going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. If you're a serious and qualified SEC-accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. The U.S. government needs your investment in oil and is allowing you to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Call 800-278-7455. That's 800-278-7455.
Stand by as we continue our dig for the truth and the toy at the bottom of the cereal box. Oh, got it. The Dan Kasper Show.
Wrapping things up this Monday morning, covering some bases. Bucks picked up the W last night against the Dallas Mavericks. Bucks still second place in conference standings. Their next game will be Wednesday as they hit the road to take on the New York Knickerbockers. So that'll be coming up on the 30th. Also, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Big Ten ACC Challenge going to be getting underway here. So the Badgers coming off their Battle for Atlantis performance, finishing third over there with disappointing or not really disappointing. Well, yeah, I mean, overtime loss to Kansas where they made that comeback, got to OT, and then falling just a bit short to Kansas there. So nonetheless, I still think that's a solid performance from the Badgers, and hopefully something that they can build upon as the season progresses here. But with the Big Ten ACC Challenge coming up, we've got the Gophers. This is today. Yeah, it looks like the Gophers taking on Virginia Tech today. It looks like 6 p.m. on ESPN DOS, ESPN 2. What are some of the other games that we got coming up? Let me see if I can just find the old schedule. Oh, of course, computer freezes up on this Monday morning. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that working out there. Cool. But Wake Forest and Wisconsin will be going against each other at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Tomorrow there. Other stuff on the dockets for covering the bases here. Yeah, we had Michigan, Ohio State. Michigan's probably locked up their case for the college football playoff unless something happened in the Big Ten championship game. But now a lot of people are wondering, well, who's going to get that 4th spot there? Who's going to get that 4th spot in the college football playoff rankings? You've got Georgia, you've got TCU, you've got Michigan. Could it be USC? You're looking at the latest top AP polls. Michigan moved up to number 2. TCU moved up to number 3. USC moved up to number 4. Ohio State fell to 5. Alabama's at 6. But Michigan will be taking on Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. And those two teams did not go up against each other at all this year. So unless Purdue can maybe spoil a little bit of that Michigan magic that's going on right now, or try to take advantage of Michigan riding a high, sure looks like Michigan will be in the college football playoff along with Georgia. And, you got TCU going up against Kansas State, which should be a pretty darn good matchup. Kansas State's ranked 12th. They're 9-3 so far this year. And if we look at it, TCU beat Kansas State earlier this year when Kansas State was ranked 17th, 38-28. But if TCU loses, they're not going to go to the college football playoff. So then I would think that would open the door for Ohio State to get back into it. And, we'll see with USC, though, too, because USC, they've got Utah coming up this weekend. Utah's ranked 14th. So it'll be interesting to see how that 4th spot lines up. No doubt about that. Michigan win against Ohio State. Holy moly. I mean, you want to talk about reaction from two sides of the aisle on social media between Michigan fans and Ohio State fans. Whoa, you would have thought Michigan won like the national championship, and you'd have thought Ohio State was the worst team in the country with some of the reactions going back and forth. That's what you get with a rivalry game like this, where two teams are so freaking good, and it's been a long time since Michigan has won in Ohio State. What'd they say? Since 2000, Tom Brady didn't even make his first start yet in the NFL? Somewhere around there. I mean, it's been, 22 years. Been a long time coming. All right. What else do we got? Anything else we want to catch up on? No? Good? Great. Okay, because we only got a couple minutes left here for the top. We do have a Monday night football game if anybody's curious in that thing. But it's Pittsburgh and the Colts. So you might know, is Manning Cast on tonight? I just want to know if Manning Cast will do one on Jeff Saturday. Not that Peyton's going to say anything bad about him. I don't think that's going to be the case, but, you know, kind of curious to get the reaction of Jeff Saturday from Peyton Manning. I'm not sure. But, yeah, that's going on tonight too. So tomorrow we'll probably talk a little bit more Badgers. Well, we will with RJ Cardinal, but also we should be hearing from Luke Fickell and Chris McIntosh later on today with their presser and such. Be curious to see some of the responses because I'm sure they're going to be asked about Jim Leonard. I'm sure Chris McIntosh is going to be asked about Jim Leonard. Luke Fickell's probably going to be asked about the possibility of keeping Jimmy Leonard on his staff if Jimmy Leonard wants to stay on that staff. So I'm sure we'll have some of the clips and we'll analyze all that tomorrow morning. But I believe that's this afternoon. Fickell and his family flew in late last night. Chris McIntosh, his wife, and a booster went and picked him up, flew him back to Madison. So can't remember the last time Badger actually did that either. You know what I mean? Like booster got on a plane, go pick them up and that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll talk to RJ about that too. How shocked was he? Quick last update on where the polls were for that, by the way. We had 2 of those. The first one, that's the second one. I want the first one here. Where did it go? Badgers fans, thoughts on your new head coach? Final tallies. Actually, the poll closes later on today, but for our purposes, 78.7% of you saying love it. 21.3% of you saying you still would have rather have had Jim Leonard as head coach. Then the second poll question of the day. It was a small sample size, but your thoughts on Jordan Love last night was 54.2% of you saying look good, continue to start him. 33.3% of you saying good, but I'd still start Aaron. 8.3% of you was meh, was okay. 4.2% of you not impressed. So again, almost half of Packers fans out there would still rather see Aaron Rodgers as a starting quarterback. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, just past 6 a.m. with, I'm sure, a lot more Badger football talk and maybe a little bit more green and gold talk. Maybe we'll find out more about Aaron's injury later today and his future status for the rest of the season. Have a good one, people. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
You're listening to the Dan Patrick Show on WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1.
You're out, you're about, but you want your Dan Patrick. Well, good news.